offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
You do anything to keep your vehicle happy. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, the parts that fit are just a click away. Just look for the green check. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Where would we be without technical difficulties, Kev?
Wait, what?
Would not be a WING, that's for sure.
We're here.
We are here, and we're on air, and we are off and rolling.
You sure?
Here on a, what is today, a Tuesday?
Tuesday in the
MLB
city.
trade deadline. Reds make any big deals yet?
No.
Verlander, Red?
No. He is going to, where is he going?
The
Back
Houston
to
Astros.
yeah.
Reuniting with Dusty Baker. I like the move. I wish he would have left Houston to begin with. Big Dusty Baker fan, not an Astros fan, but I'm also a big Justin Verlander fan. I would have loved to see Verlander, make his way to Cincinnati if that's the case. Look, I had a feeling this was going to happen. I think the Reds are making a mistake. Now, look, to be fair, there's still a couple more hours in this deadline, but I had a feeling that we were being set up to, and not by Nick Krall, by the way. Nick Krall, the Reds general manager, has been adamant that they were not going to mortgage the future, that they were not going to, give up anything big, that they were going after young arms, young pitchers under team control for many years. Obviously they did make a move last night, a bullpen guy, but we'll talk about that later. I don't think that's division shifting or anything like that. I'm a little frustrated about that. We'll get into that coming up in a bit, but I will say this. So this was a John Morosi, again, MLB Network had this. He tweeted this out earlier, that the Reds remain involved in the starting pitching trade market on deadline day, but they are somewhat reluctant to pay high prices for top of the market arms. Well, let's be clear. How else do you get top of the market arms? That's like saying, well, I really want a Porsche, but I don't really want to pay Porsche prices. I don't really want a Porsche, to be honest, even if I had Porsche money.
Dream car, quickly.
Don't have a dream car.
Oh, goodness.
I don't. Not a car guy.
In the chat section, let us know your dream car.
Dream car. But like, you see how silly that sounds. Like, imagine going to a lot and you looking at the biggest trucks on the lot, and I want that truck, but I don't want to pay truck prices.
Then you're not getting said truck.
Like the Reds, you sound ridiculous. Like, it's okay to say we would love to add to our starting pitching, but we are not in the market for pursuing that at the moment due to not wanting to mortgage the future for. I'd respect that, but they sound a little like silly. You could tell they're new to this winning thing. You could tell that they're not used to being buyers at the deadline, because they're sitting here saying they're somewhat reluctant to pay high prices for top of the market arms. Well, how else do you get top of I would love to, I'm sure all GMs and owners would love to get top of the market arms without having to pay top of the market prices. So yeah, kind of silly.
I guess they're talking about young pitchers, but guess what? Teams aren't going to let their young stud pitchers go because they don't pay them anything, and that's why they want to keep them around. Like, for instance, the Cleveland Guardians, they're not going to be trading Tristan McKenzie anytime soon because they don't pay him anything. Mm-hmm. He's hurt also, but so they're going to keep him until it's time to trade him, or it's time to pay him. Then they'll trade him. So yeah, like that's just not how it works. If you want very good pitching, you're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay up, and that's going to be meaning salary. That's going to mean with prospects as well.
Yeah, so I had tweeted this out. So the rest of the tweet from John Morosi said, so the Reds remain involved in the starting pitching trade market on deadline day, but they are somewhat reluctant to pay high prices for top-of-the-market arms. The tweet goes on to say, Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo are expected to rejoin the Reds rotation during the regular season. Well, let's be clear. When you've missed months at a time due to injury, acting like getting them back is just all of a sudden going to take them to that next level. How long before them being back? I mean, just because you're back, how many starts do you need before you're back? So being back doesn't mean you're back. It just means you're back out on the mound for the Reds. But like, how many starts for them until they kind of get back in their groove? Luckily, it sounds like the Reds might get Hunter Green back by August 20th. But let's also remember, Hunter Green was very up and down. So was Nick Lodolo. Nick Lodolo was not pitching well towards the back end. Now, to be fair, maybe that had to do with the injury. So there's that aspect of it. But nonetheless, to sit there and say Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo are expected to rejoin the Reds rotation during the regular season, that's fantastic. But to sit there and say, like, so the Reds are confident that they could win a World Series getting those two back. This is what I talked about yesterday when you were out, that I'm frustrated because I believe that the Cincinnati Reds needed a veteran arm to put in that rotation. The Reds are good enough as is to make the playoffs. This is a playoff roster. They are good enough to make the playoffs. I don't think they're good enough to win a World Series. And I don't think that falls on the lineup. I think that falls in the rotation. I think that they should have been aggressive to go after Justin Verlander. I am curious. I'm going to keep refreshing this to see what the Astros gave up to get him, to kind of get an idea of what the Reds could have done to match what the Astros did. But come playoff time, Kev, like, it sounds like they're going to win this division. Not sounds like, but I mean, they're a game and a half over the Brewers. The only team that seems to have their number is the Brewers, and they don't play the Brewers the rest of the season. So the frustrating part is you're not going to run into the team that's had your number all year. So that's great. But they're going to most likely win this division, which means they're not going to have to play in the wild card, which means you're going to have home field advantage. And there's going to be a whole extra level of nerves that these pitchers are going to face come playoff time. And I think it's kind of gutsy to throw out Andrew Abbott, a rookie, in game one if he's their best pitcher. It's gutsy to throw out Hunter Green or Nick Lodolo. They should have gone after Justin Verlander, because the thing is, things have changed. And I said this yesterday, Kev, if they're 3 or 4 games back, you don't go get Justin Verlander. You just hope you go get you make a couple moves to get into the playoffs. This team is a playoff team already, in my opinion. The move that you needed to make was, how do you attack the Braves? How do you attack the Brewers once you get into the playoffs? This trade deadline was not about making the playoffs. This trade deadline was about winning once you get in the playoffs. I'm not a fan of throwing any of the rookies or second-year starting pitchers out on the mound for game one of a humongous playoff series, or heaven forbid a game 7. You got to go to a rookie, or that's where you need a Justin Verlander. That's where you needed a Max Scherzer. That's where you needed a big arm. But Reds fans are more obsessed with the idea of prospects. Look, I say this about a lot of sports out there. We hear about prospects. When you're so obsessed with the future, when are you focused on the now? When is the now important? Because we don't want to mortgage our future for the now. Well, why? By the time that those guys are ready to produce for you, what are you going to do to help those guys win? I'm not disappointed. And again, a big splash could come down on our, airwaves any moment now of a big trade, but I just think it's kind of silly. As I tweeted out earlier today, this trade was not about getting the Reds into the playoffs. They're good enough to get there as is. The trade is about winning once you get there. I think the Reds have dropped I think they've really kind of messed up here by not being aggressive at this deadline. I feel like they're not going to do anything else. They might get a Michael Lorenzen. That might be a guy I trust to throw it on the mound in a game one of a playoff series, or a clinching, game or whatever, I guess. But again, you're not promised to be a division winner a year from now. So you're going to have home field advantage. You need to have everything in your favor to win. But that's the one thing about the Reds. I'm tired of hearing about prospects, the future. You save up all these prospects for the future, but what's the finish line for the future? So when you get there, okay, now is when we're aggressive. This roster is really, really good. This isn't like they've played a month of good baseball. This has been a 4-month run of dominant baseball outside of the Brewers series. So it's frustrating. I didn't think I'd be this upset if they didn't make moves. But again, I'm going to repeat myself one more time. You're so obsessed about the future that you're not focusing on winning now. And by the time we get to the future, you're going to look back at what we call now is current. You're going to look back and say, man, maybe we should maybe been aggressive at that deadline. I don't want to get to September or to October and then lose a playoff series because, Andrew Abbott, who's been dominant all year, the moment was too big for him. And boom, well, maybe you should have had Justin Verlander. Maybe you should have had a veteran pitcher ready to go. That's the biggest flaw I think that the Reds are making a mistake with right now. We'll see what happens. But I'm tired. Prospects, future. Stop. The future's now. The only future you need to worry about is this October.
Yeah, you need to dial up the Mets because they're sellers. Me and my buddy were complaining about the Guardians basically being sellers, even though they're only 1 game back of the lead in the AL Central. But, they're trading guys left and right, but the Mets, they're waving a white flag. They're giving up. So the Mets are open for business. You know that guy in your fantasy football league that you play with that has good players, but he keeps losing games left and right. And, you know, by the time playoffs are about to start, he's just basically giving all his players away. That's who the Mets are right now. So if there's anybody on the Mets that you want on your team, call them because they'll give them to you because they're trying to cut salary and just basically restart this thing with the Mets, man. So I know that if I was in you guys' position where you guys have a ton of bats and you can score a ton of runs, I would be dialing up the Mets because it's got to be a rotational guy in that bullpen. That's got to be somebody out there that's good.
So, by the way, we will not see Michael Lorenzen be a Cincinnati Red again. It looks like the Philadelphia Phillies just made a trade a little bit ago to acquire Michael Lorenzen from the Tigers. So there's that. So I see this coming in. Eduardo Rodriguez, according to Randy Scott Jr. Let me pull this up so everyone can read this. Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers is still available, and maybe that's what ends up happening. And okay, that's great. Adam Selzner says report says Houston gave up their top-rated prospect. Super. The Reds have, and by the way, Adam, I'm not yelling at you. Yes, because Houston wants to win. Like that's the thing. Like this idea, this is why I feel like Nick Krall, as much, and you know that I've been a huge fan of his this whole time. I've never criticized him. I've defended him against you guys because I said your anger's at management and you're taking it out, or your anger's at ownership, you're taking it out on him. But I believe that this is a dangerous move. Like, yes, you have to, I mean, we want top of the market arms, but we don't want to pay for it. Well, that you sound ridiculous. You sound inexperienced. That's embarrassing. The Houston Astros, do you think that they wanted to give up their top prospect to go get him? And I don't know. And Adam, thank you. I'm going to go read it, during this little pause in the action coming up in a moment. But I'm just saying nobody wants to give up their top prospects, but the Astros are saying, hey, we could keep this top prospect for the future as our roster is getting a little older, or we could do everything in our power now to win because we're more in control of our situation now than what we are a year or 2-3 years from now. So I think it's kind of silly. But thank you for that, Adam. I hadn't found that yet, so I appreciate it. Alan Hubler brings up the fact that he had a no trade clause. Maybe the Reds tried to do it and he waived that, but I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt because based on the comments, it's not as if the Reds are willing to give up anything of significance to get him, which is the problem I have with all of this. So Adam Selzner said the Guardians are historically sellers at the trade deadline, especially recently. I mean, they gave the Reds a Cy Young pitcher not too long ago. So there's that. The Reds are making the playoffs. I think they're winning this division, knock on wood. But I don't want to hear, like, if the Reds continue winning at a high level, I don't want anyone saying, see, Ken, are you overreacting? No. Let's look at how the Reds get ousted from the playoffs. And then we'll revisit this conversation. I'm going to say, hey, they're going to get knocked out of the playoffs because of their youth and inexperience. Not that one veteran pitcher changes that, but I guarantee you, they get to a game, trying to fight off elimination or a chance to close out a big opponent. It'd be much nicer to have Justin Verlander out there than taking your chances with rookie pitchers or second-year starting pitchers. That's all. Steve Stetler on Facebook. When the future gets here, we won't have half these players anyway. Maybe, the future with these players, what's the difference between the future with these players 2 years from now versus now? If anything, our top prospects have more value now than a couple years from now, just because of the fact that, they're so early into this thing. And if anything, going to pay a guy like Justin Verlander, making trades for guys like that, you could afford them now. In the future, once you've had to pay your guys, once you've had to pay Christian Encarnacion Strand, once you've made Ellie one of the highest paid players in baseball, once you've paid all these guys, at the deadline in a couple years when you need help and you have the prospects to do it, then you're not going to have the cash to do it. So now was the time to do it. And to hold on to middle infielders when you're already set at middle infield just seems kind of silly to me when it's all said and done. So
do you think it's that $43 million?
They would have to eat. Adam, let me know. So the Mets, when they traded Scherzer, they paid more than, I think, 80% of his. And I'm assuming they did the same thing with Verlander. I would assume that's what
I'm trying to read the article. I don't see anything about that yet.
So if they, obviously they would have to do that for Verlander, but maybe because they did that for Scherzer, they weren't willing to do that for Verlander. But I have a hard time believing even the Astros would take on that money. But, the Mets, they want that money off the books. They want the prospects. They want to replenish the system because keep in mind, folks, the top teams in baseball, when they get talent in their system, they're not the best teams in baseball. They don't sit there and wait for every one of those prospects to develop so that they can be stars on their team. They use those prospects to go get proven stars to win now. That's what the good teams in baseball do, at least over the line as far as consistency goes, nonetheless. But all right, Kenner and Kev with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Bucky Brooks, NFL Network, he had high praise for the Cleveland Browns. High praise for the Cleveland Browns. Kevin's probably annoyed. I was listening to it on loop today. It was like
nonstop.
It was just beautiful music to my ears. I just couldn't turn it off. We have that coming up for you. It's a new feature on the show called Say What. We have about a couple audio pieces that we're going to drop your way and get your take on it. 518-1410. We'll continue to keep track of the MLB trade deadline and see what happens. But no Justin Verlander to the Reds. No Michael Lorenzen to the Reds. Maybe Rodriguez from the Tigers, as we talked about. But again, hours away. We'll see what ends up happening. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
So you're in the middle of a kitchen update, and you can't tell if that's a faucet stem or a flange. With the Home Depot app, doing doesn't miss a beat. It'll find what you need in a snap, and it'll show you how to find it in store with a tap. Or get it delivered free. For doing that doesn't stop. Download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Alpha Media Dayton salutes the Voss Auto Network for the huge impact they're having on our local community. Their partnerships with Points Career Technical Center, Sinclair Community College, and Miami Valley CTC addresses the shortage of auto technicians entering the job market. Voss employees have served on advisory boards, job fairs, established job shadowing, and apprenticeship programs. Their largest internal fundraiser is the yearly United Way campaign, and their community involvement includes school events, sports, educational, library and park programs, festivals, parades, and more. Thank you, Voss Auto Network. Built on trust, driven by integrity.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Did you know more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for their news, traffic, weather, sports, and a community connection? AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping Americans safe in dangerous times. 1410 Wing AM is here to serve you, and we take seriously our commitment to our listeners. We would love to hear what you value most about AM radio. Visit wearebroadcasters.com and tell us how you depend on AM.
So you're in the middle of a kitchen update, and you can't tell if that's a faucet stem or a flange. With the Home Depot app, doing doesn't miss a beat. It'll find what you need in a snap, and it'll show you how to find it in store with a tap. Or get it delivered free. For doing that doesn't stop. Download the Home Depot app. It's made for doing.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $35.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
At Granger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $25 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $75 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/5. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
Millions protect their homes with Generac generators. Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer, has franchise opportunities available. GeneratorFranchise.com.
Buckeye fans, don't miss Dayton's own Keith Byers every Wednesday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Excited to be with you here on a Tuesday. The MLB trade deadline coming up here in just hours? We're getting closer and closer. And all the names that the Reds have been associated with for the majority of the week, they're pretty much gone. Michael Lorenzen gone, Justin Verlander gone. And to be fair, the Justin Verlander, I don't think there was heavy, activity there, but it was a name that was at least being mentioned as far as the Reds being active, going, as far as scouts and stuff at Mets games and that type of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if the Reds do pull the trigger on anything, but don't let the gaslighting fool you from the organization. We told you we weren't willing to mortgage the future. Well, it doesn't mean that it's not a stupid approach. Like I said, I've been patient. I'm a big Nick Krall fan, but this idea that, we're in a good position now, and this is a feel-good season. So even if we don't win it all, that's all right, because this is a successful year. Also, you could try to win at another time when you'll probably make the same BS excuses then too. So this is the most critical I've been of the Reds, but I'm being critical because now my perception of the team has changed. I wasn't critical when the season started because they were supposed to be bad. They weren't supposed to win 100 games, but now that you're in first place 4 months in, this is who you are. And now my opinions are based on who you are right now, not who you were coming into the year. That's what they keep doing. Well, remember, we weren't supposed to be here right now, but you are.
So does this mean the organization thinks they can't win the World Series?
I guess if they really felt that way, which is just wild, that's a good point. Maybe they don't. Maybe they feel like they are not good enough to win the World Series, which is why they're not willing to mortgage the future. And by the way, that's such a dramatic way to go about it. Giving up one or two, you have like 6 guys in the top 100 right now. Giving up 1 or 2 of those guys is not the end of the world to help you win right now. Fans would forgive them if they gave up, mortgage the future to go all. I want my team to, for years, we felt like this team doesn't care about winning. Now is a perfect opportunity to prove to your fans that we do care about winning, which is why we're not mortgaging the future, but we're doing what good teams do, using our healthy farm system to generate proven league talent that can come in and help us win a World Series. But they're relying on remember, we were supposed to be a 100-loss team. We're not even supposed to be here. So if we do get knocked out in the first round, it's still a successful season no matter what. Or if we get there and realize that, man, we lost, the Reds lost because they didn't effort to put a veteran in that rotation, then I'm going to be like, no, you don't get to use the expectations in March to justify where you've been and weren't aggressive. My perception of the team is based on who you are right now, and who they are right now as a first place team. That outside of the Brewers, they don't look like there's a gap between them and anyone in baseball. I know the Braves have won pretty much every game in their series, but every matchup it's been a 1-run result. Every game has been a 1-run result in the Reds-Braves series. So it's not like the Braves have just dominated the Reds. The Brewers have dominated the Reds, but the Braves have. So outside of the Brewers, every team in the national, I mean, the Dodgers, they just went on the West Coast and took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. They're at Wrigley where they always stink. And they held off a Cubs comeback last night and were able to hold off the Cubs. So the Reds have had, I mean, they swept the Diamondbacks who are in the midst of everything. Like there's not a team in the National League that they are not capable of beating. And if they do get to the Braves in the NL Championship Series and they lose to them, that's the best team in baseball. That's forgivable. But it's like, sit there and act like, well, there's 6 teams that are better than there's not. There's the Braves and maybe the Brewers. I think the Brewers there's a difference between, I don't know if the Brewers are better than the Reds, but they do have the Reds number. Does that make sense? Like the Braves are definitely better, but I think the Reds have the second best team in the NL, even though they can't seem to get over the Brewers. It's kind of like the Bengals and Browns. The Browns.
So it circles back to your Brownies.
No, this is putting the Browns in play. Like the Browns have the Bengals number, but even I know the Browns aren't, well, up until this year. We'll get to that. But the Browns, although they've had the Bengals number, Bengals fans, well, they're not better than us. They just have our number. That's kind of the situation with Milwaukee and Cincinnati right now.
So do you think it's more of an issue with the Reds that the $42 million or the 40-year-old age of Verlander?
They love 40-year-olds.
I'm sorry, Reds. I had to do it.
The difference
I had to
is,
do it.
if they're afraid of a 40-year-old that might produce, that might be what this is. They seem to have they are obsessed with 40-year-olds who don't produce. And I don't give a rip that Joey Votto, finally produced last night. Which, by the way, he had a huge night last night. Oh, great! They got his average up to what, 190? I mean, the problem is that if Justin Verlander was 40 and horrible, oh man, they'd be drooling over him. Oh, we love crappy 40-year-olds. Get him over here. That's the ageist bell, by the way.
I'm sorry, Reds fans. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
Absolutely atrocious. Randy Burtholf on YouTube. The Dodgers are reportedly going in on getting Eduardo Rodriguez. And the Dodgers, again, are a team that they're not afraid to use their prospects to go get guys. Now, I know that they like to spend money too, but it's like, okay, Reds, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit on your prospects and your cash. All right. You can't sit on both. The Dodgers, they don't sit on anything. The Reds like to sit on their cash and sit on their prospects. And that's a problem because with the prospects, where the Reds won't spend money, their prospects could get them in on names that they wouldn't be in on free agency. But Randy goes on to say he would be a nice pickup, though. I also saw us linked to Zach Greinke. What's Zach's numbers this year? Randy, if you don't mind, get back to me on that if you don't mind. Scott Campbell on YouTube. The Reds looking for starting pitching late in the deadline is like me looking for paper towels at the store in April 2020. Was it paper towels or toilet paper? Yes, basically. The Reds, I mean, that's what I envision. Thank you, Scott. Remember going to your local grocery store or Walmart or whatever in 2020 looking for toilet paper, and you get there and all the shelves are empty?
Bottled water.
That's what I picture Nick Krall doing right now, walking over to the starting pitching department and be like, man, they should really put a limit on like 2 per person. They shouldn't just let teams go and just take, whatever. It's frustrating. I'm a Nick Krall fan, but I'm not a fan of how they've approached this deadline nonetheless. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll keep an eye on this stuff, the trade deadline rumors and activity for the Reds here as things move along. All right, so now I want to do a segment that I've been looking forward to doing for a while. It's called Say What. All right, Say What. We'll drop various audio pieces for you, of course, and nonetheless, that's kind of where we'll be with this, and then we'll react to it nonetheless. So it's time for Say What.
He didn't say that. Tell me he didn't just say that.
Yeah, I think he did just say that.
What?
I said, I think he did just say that.
What?
I said, you know what? Never mind. Guys, take it from here. It's time for Say What?
What? All right, we're off and rolling. Say What? Let's get things started, Kev. How did you see the spat, the WWE promos between Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton?
Brother.
Here's Aaron Rodgers on Sean Payton. Basically, he went all Will Smith on Sean Payton minus the slap. Take a listen.
It made me feel bad that someone who's accomplished a lot in the league is that insecure that they have to take another man down to set themselves up for some sort of easy fall if it doesn't go well for that team this year. Thought it was way out of line and inappropriate, and I think he needs to keep my coach's names out of his mouth.
Keep my coach's name out your mother freaking mouth. That's what Aaron Rodgers just, he went all Will Smith minus the slap on Sean Payton. Look, I believe Aaron Rodgers feels a little guilt here, and here's why.
Oh.
Nathaniel Hackett, remember how he ended up in Denver?
Yeah, thought he was coming. Thought Aaron Rodgers was coming.
In fact, there was, Mark Schlereth, used to be with ESPN. He does a show out in Colorado with the sports radio station there. He broke news on Colin Cowherd's show that basically a deal was in place and that Aaron Rodgers was heading to Denver. The only reason Denver hired Nathaniel Hackett to begin with was because that was going to be the key to lure Aaron Rodgers to Denver, right? But they end up not getting Aaron Rodgers. Nathaniel Hackett, who probably wasn't ready to be a head coach to begin with, ends up completely falling flat on his face. I don't believe Russell Wilson is as bad as what he was last year. I do think, I've never been big on Russell Wilson, but I know he's not that bad. And I think Nathaniel Hackett had a lot to, had a lot to do with it. But he was brought there to coach Aaron Rodgers, not obviously Russell Wilson. And I believe there was communication behind the scenes to set that up over in Denver. It ultimately didn't happen. And the embarrassment that happened for Nathaniel Hackett might be because of backdoor communication between him and Aaron Rodgers. Hey, go to Denver. I'll meet you there. That ultimately doesn't happen. By the way, there's a reason, as horrible as Nathaniel Hackett was in Denver, there's a reason the Jets went sprinting to pick him up as their offensive coordinator, because of the possibility of what ultimately ended up happening. That's Aaron Rodgers ending up with the Jets. I think we're seeing him as testy as he is, protecting his guy, Nathaniel Hackett. Yes, because he wants to kind of that team unity, defend his coach, all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know how many people ripped the Packers coaches over the years? He's never had a coach's back the way he has Nathaniel Hackett. I think, to me, maybe it's a little guilt. Maybe he told him, I'll meet you in Denver. He went to Denver because of Aaron Rodgers. Ultimately didn't get Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he feels a little guilty for all that falling on his face. What say you?
For me, I feel the exact same way as Coach Tomlin. Can't wait for week 5. This game should be prime time. I pray to goodness that the Steelers and the Jets and the Broncos don't all play at the same time, because I don't want to watch the Steelers that game. I want to watch this Jets Broncos game. That should be the Sunday night football game, because the lead up to that game, all the bickering back and forth. Could you imagine what Aaron Rodgers is going to do when they scores a touchdown? He's going to do the discount double check. He's going to point at Sean Payton. He's going to point at his offensive coordinator, say he drew that play up, all that type of stuff. It's going to be a lot of talking. So week 5, I'm ready for week 5, and it ain't even week 1 yet.
Russell Wilson's a discount double check guy too, right?
No. Is he?
No, it's Chris Paul.
Yes.
That's Chris Paul, not okay. So it's Aaron Rodgers on the NFL side. Okay, but nonetheless, that'll be a fun matchup, that's for sure. And I like this. Look, I don't mind. And I will defend Sean Payton here. What did he say that was wrong? And let me say this.
I knew you would love it.
What he did was wrong because, yes, the code amongst coaches. You don't bury coaches in the media. He tried to do the whole, I had my Fox Sports hat on because he was an analyst for the last year. And I do get that as well. But let's be clear. I'm fine with players having an issue with it. I'm fine with coaches having an issue with it. What I'm not fine with is our affiliate ESPN. All of the do-gooders in the media. I just can't believe he would say that. You agreed with him. You were saying, or not just ESPN, but like the analyst, all of the analysts shared his opinion last year. He was saying it at Fox,
most of those analysts are former players, so they're going to have that perspective.
I think if anyone, but that's what it was, coaching. That's what it was, coaching. So, that's why I just don't have it. I get the code, but, I'm not a code guy. So, I'm just saying. Am I a code guy, Kev?
No,
I'm not a code guy. So
not at
it
all.
is what it is. Nonetheless, if you're just tuning in, say what? It's a new segment on the show. We're excited about it. There, you just heard Aaron Rodgers responding to the comments, the shade that was thrown towards Nathaniel Hackett from now Denver Broncos head coach Sean Payton. All right, moving on. Let's go to this one. Ian Rappaport was on, soon to be ESPN's The Pat McAfee Show, right? Ian Rappaport had this to say regarding the contract situation with the injured Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Keep in mind, I'm feeling an I told you so coming very, very soon. But take a listen. Ian Rappaport had this to say about Joe Burrow's contract negotiation with the Cincinnati Bengals.
The Herbert contract was really nice. It was a 5-year extension. So add that to what he already had. I would expect Burrow to go over him. There are ways to structure it to make it so the team can keep their guys, because they really do have a lot of players. They have T. Higgins, who's up for an extension now. They have Jamar Chase, who will be probably next year. There's a couple other players. Trey Hendrickson got a raise this year and an extension. There are ways to do it, but I have a hard time imagining Burrow is anything but the highest paid player in the NFL when it's done. That said, he's got an agent who has Brian Arold as the agent. He has both Bosas. Nick Bosa currently holding out. Joey Bosa previously held out. He is, these things take time, and I will imagine there's some strong lines in the sand being drawn. I don't get the sense anything is imminent. But eventually when it gets done, if it gets done, I do believe he'll be the highest.
I definitely believe he'll be the highest. That's the portion of that I focused in on the most. The agent being that of the Bosas, who are both sitting out, or who have both set out, are sitting out.
Buckeyes.
And that too. Go Tigers. Joe Burrow, he set out with the Buckeyes. So anyways, so there was a part in that caught my attention. Nothing is imminent. What are we waiting on? And I've been asking this for a while. And everyone said, well, Burrow's just waiting for Lamar and waiting for Herbert and waiting for Jalen Hurts to get there. And I know we've talked about this in the past, but now here we are, just we're 4 days removed from the contract signing of Justin Herbert. Nothing done. You just heard Ian Rappaport say he gets the sense that there's nothing imminent. That means they're not close to getting a deal done. And now what's the excuse? That means Joe Burrow has asked for something. And before you guys think I'm hating on him, I'm not. Joe Burrow's asking for something, and he should get it. But whatever he's asking for, the Bengals aren't quick they're not quick to say, all right, let's move forward. And the Bengals are wrong in this, not Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, anything he asked for, and by the way, Justin Herbert got paid. He's the least successful, and I think he's more talented, but he is the least successful of all the quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts he got paid a month after playing in the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson is a league MVP and wins 90% of his games, right? Then there's Joe Burrow, who has just totally turned around the entire franchise. You mean to tell me that Justin Herbert gets paid with less leverage with his team than Joe Burrow in the sense, folks, this is a problem. You guys kept telling me this is a problem. There's no excuse why that deal should not be done by now. You all told me, hey, just got to wait. Justin Herbert, once he signs his deal, he'll take a couple more million, and then he'll be the highest paid player in history. Nothing's imminent. There's a line drawn in the sand, as you just heard Ian Rappaport say on my guy Pat McAfee, the Pat McAfee show, right?
YouTube show.
I love I love Pat McAfee. But on that, when he said nothing's imminent, that's a problem. That means he has asked for something, and the Bengals aren't giving it to him. And the question is what? And they're being tight-lipped for a reason. I think they're not in the danger zone yet, but they're heading that way, because to me, there's really no excuse why a deal should not be done yet. There isn't. Not because, especially when everyone else got their deal done, and they're not Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I liken this to, okay, here's an analogy. I'm a homeowner. You're a homeowner. A lot of our listeners are homeowners. When you first purchase your home, you thought everything was going to be lined up. Your realtor called you like, all right, we're going to do the closing on this date. And then they call you 30 minutes later. Hey, we're going to push it back to this date because the seller wants to do X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm getting out of this situation. It's like being pushed back because of the other side. It's not being pushed back because of Joe Burrow. And they're kind of pushing it back because there is language in there. There's verbiage that we don't understand. There's ways of working the numbers around to make it a new contract or a contract extension, because I was listening to them talk about Justin Herbert's deal and like, well, the way they worked it is they can still keep Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and sign so-and-so Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa to a contract extension because the money's going to be delayed until this date and that date and everything like that. So I think it's more of those, like they're still trying to juggle these numbers because unlike a lot of other teams, they're really trying to keep not only Joe Burrow, but the 2 wide receivers. So you gave them until Friday before you went nuclear. So it's only Tuesday at 4:02.
Warning shots.
It's not Friday yet. So relax.
And that's funny because Doug Toby, RELAX, Doug Toby. Doug, you get so sensitive about your team. And you know what it is? It's not sensitive about your team. It's you guys hate when Kinner's right. That's what this is coming down to. I warned
you're not right until you said Friday. You said you would give them a deadline of Friday before you went full Kinner.
Just saying, they like when you talk about the numbers that they're working out. What's there to work? I mean, if I was told by Bengals fans themselves, the only thing they had to worry about once Justin Herbert's numbers out there, they just add a couple more mil and off they go. I'm just pointing out that Bengals fans, this is why y'all delusional. What happened to that team-friendly contract, by the way? Just saying. But anyways.
Yeah,
All right.
That never was going to happen.
Say what? Last one here on the way out here. Say what? And how about my guy, Bucky Brooks? Have I ever told you how big of a fan I am? Here's Bucky Brooks. He's a big believer in the Cleveland Browns, as am I, and as you should be as well.
To me, on paper, they're right there with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're neck and neck.
Hell yeah.
There's a part of me that believes the Cleveland Browns will win the division, and it's going to be very impressive. It's not only what we talked about offensively, because I can talk about the firepower, Amari Cooper and a lot more, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, and those guys. But defensively is where they've made the biggest improvement. Jim Schwartz comes over, gives them a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. You have Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett, who might be the best 1-2 punch as edge rushers in the National Football League. And with Schwartz being able to tie that in with a wide 9 front, a defensive backfield that really specializes in playing man-to-man, this could be problematic for a lot of teams in the AFC.
Ooh, a lot of teams in the AFC. You could see them winning the division. They're as good as the Cincinnati Bengals. See, why can't y'all just listen to me? I've been telling you this. They got the quarterback. They got the O-line. They got the run game. They got depth at the wide receiver position. And, they got some dudes on defense now. Juan Thorhill, by the way, has just been killing it. The former safety of the Super Bowl winning, the team that won the Super Bowl, not lost the Super Bowl and then threw a parade for it when they lost that. No, they won the Super Bowl. But no, I haven't heard much high praise for the Browns. There's a lot to doubt the Browns for. I get it. But as Bucky said, look, a lot of the love that he has for the Browns, you have your quarterback. Now you have the run game, the wide receiver, but it's everything they've done on the defensive side of the ball. When, Thornhill at safety, and then, of course, the pass rushers, Darius Smith, and now you have, obviously, Myles Garrett there. And it sounds like they're going to be looking at more pass rushers. Bottom line is, I think Cleveland is legit, but when I say it, it just doesn't carry the same weight as when a very intelligent, smart man like my man Bucky Brooks, when he says it. Cleveland Browns, baby.
The biggest thing I took away from it was Schwartz and the defensive scheme that they're going to be running, not necessarily the players out there. Last year, they ran that like 4-2-4, a lot of pattern matching on zone defense. And there was a whole bunch of finger pointing because people didn't know their responsibilities in the zone defense. When you run a traditional 3-4 defense, hey, we just going to man up. You get him, I get him, and I'm going to chase him all over the field. It's a more simpler defense, and it lets, the werewolves like a Myles Garrett go crazy on the edge. So that's going to be key for them. And this is the type of season or part of the season where everybody's hopeful because of all the additions you made in free agency throughout the draft and coaching changes. We all see the bright side, like, okay, this is our year to make a leap. So if you were a 3-win team last year, like, all right, man, we can make that leap all the way up to 8 wins. You missed the playoffs. You got a quarterback that only played 6 games. Like, all right, we want Deshaun Watson to return to that form that he was in 19. So this is that time of year where everybody's at their peak. Everybody sees the path to the playoffs. You play the W's and L's game. Everybody's mapping a way out for their team to win 11 games, and 11 games wins get you to the playoffs. So I have no problem with the Cleveland Browns being projected to be a player in the AFC North because everybody should be at this point.
The chat section is filled with Bengals fan insecurities. And I'm just oozing. I got to go get a paper towel to clean up the mess in the chat section. All the insecurity of the Bengals fans. Unbelievable. All right, good stuff. It's the Kidder and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM. That was Say What?
Say what?
We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. This is your dentist. Do me a favor and feel the front of your teeth. How grimy are they?
Ugh.
It's time for a Crest Pro Health reality checkup. That grime is the buildup of plaque bacteria that can cause cavities in just months. You need to switch to Crest Pro Health. While most toothpaste stop working in minutes, Crest Pro Health's antibacterial fluoride protects for up to 12 hours to stop cavities before they start. So pick some up on the way home. Smile. Crest has you covered.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff in store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Ready for a new take on Nashville Hot? Swing by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken for the Nashville Hot Mac and Cheese Bowl at a great price. With hand-breaded premium breast strip bites tossed in Nashville Hot flavor, all nestled into a bowl of creamy mac and cheese. It's a meal with craveable kick. Discover the hottest thing in mac and cheese when you try the Nashville Hot Mac and Cheese Bowl from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken at a great price. Here for a limited time, only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Hi, Greg McAfee here with McAfee Heating and Air. There has never been a better time to start a new career. If you are 18 years or older with a high school diploma or GED and enjoy working with your hands, consider the McAfee Apprenticeship Program, where you will learn everything you need through in-class and on-the-job training. Apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins. Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that poor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe. Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day,
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
At Granger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-sized personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $25 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $75 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/5. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
Fill your shower with the fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number that you can call and jump in on the conversation. You are stuck with me the rest of hour number 2. I think that's all right, right? We good? We all friends here? Shaw, even you? Who needs enemies when you got friends like Shaw? Am I right? Shaw, hope you're doing well. All right, so I figured this was going to happen. That's why I love that Say What segment. And interesting stuff. So Bucky Brooks, ex-NFL player, again, a scout. By the way, an actual NFL scout, an analyst with Fox Sports, of course, and on Fox Sports Radio, Fox Sports Digital, head coach, former head coach, all that fun stuff. The guy knows football. The guy knows what he's talking about. He's not some Homer fan living in his mom's basement that just when he gets enough signal from the router upstairs, sends some, tough guy tweet or post or whatever the heck X is calling it now. Like I'd say he knows what he's talking about. And the thing is, he didn't put the Bengals. I have no clue. Like, this is how I know you guys are insecure as a fan base. You guys are more upset. Like, all he did was praise the Browns. All he did was say that he believes they're right up there with the Cincinnati Bengals, and you guys lost your mind. Why? Why does it matter? I also heard the other day that, the Chargers could be as good as the Bengals this year. I didn't hear any of you lose your mind then. But the Browns, that bothers you because you're insecure. You don't like it. You're jealous. The team that's had your number, the team that actually is healthy, knock on wood, heading into a season, the team that finally has their quarterback for a full year heading in with no distractions of a suspension, knock on wood, all these things, you now know. You saw what they did defensively. You saw what they did in the offseason. You saw that they brought in Jim Schwartz. You guys know. That's why I know Bucky Brooks is right on this, is because if you guys had nothing to say, it irritates you. Teams get compliments every day. The Jets are one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. I haven't heard Bengals fans complain about the Jets at all, but the Browns get a compliment. You guys lose your mind, right? Like the Joker from Batman would be laughing at all of you right now. I mean, for those of you who aren't really sure what's going on or what we're talking about, Bucky Brooks, NFL Network, had this to say regarding his thoughts on the Cleveland Browns ahead of their preseason Hall of Fame game matchup on Thursday night. He had a lot of nice things to say about Kinner's Cleveland Browns. And Bengals fans, your insecurities are getting in the way of hearing good analysis. Take a listen.
To me, on paper, they're right there with the Cincinnati Bengals. They're neck and neck. There's a part of me that believes the Cleveland Browns will win the division, and it's going to be very impressive. It's not only what we talked about offensively, because I can talk about the firepower, Amari Cooper and a lot more, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, and those guys. But defensively is where they've made the biggest improvement. Jim Schwartz comes over, gives them a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. You have Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett, who might be the best 1-2 punch as edge rushers in the National Football League. And with Schwartz being able to tie that in with a wide nine front, a defensive backfield that really specializes in playing man-to-man, this could be problematic for a lot of teams in the AFC.
Problematic for a lot of teams in the AFC, including the AFC North and including your Cincinnati Bengals, including the Browns-Bengals Week 1. Coming up just over a month from now. I mean, why is it that crazy? So David Shaw, I'm glad you're tuning in. I thought you disappeared. I thought you were kidnapped. I thought you were abducted. I didn't know what happened, but he's alive, folks. Shaw says the Browns are on the same level as the Bengals on what? What have they done? They haven't won a damn thing except being the best offseason team year in and year out. You're drinking the haterade juice too? Like, the idea of making fun of the Browns for making good moves in the offseason is just idiotic. Sorry, Shaw, if that's immature of me to say that. That's fine. I'll take the blame for that. But it's absolutely embarrassingly, ridiculously, stupidly wrong to make fun of the Browns for making good moves in the offseason. So if the Browns would have brought back their defensive coordinator, if the Browns would have just stuck with the same crap defense from last year, you would have compliment them? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't at all. So the Browns did what they're supposed to do. You're bad at defense, and you're supposed to improve at defense. That's what you're supposed to do. You bring in Jim Schwartz. You bring in Smith. You bring in dudes. You bring in guys. You bring in guys to get to the quarterback. You have to get to the quarterback in the AFC North. You have to get to Lamar Jackson. All right, you have to get to Joe Burrow. I guess you got. I mean, might as well have some fun in a couple weeks a year and get to Kenny Pickett too. I mean, might as well, whatever. Bottom line is the AFC, there's Aaron Rodgers, there's Patrick Mahomes, there's Joe Burrow, there's Josh Allen. There's Lamar Jackson. There's so many great quarterbacks. You have to get to the quarterback. The Browns couldn't do that last year. Even with Myles Garrett got to the quarterback, but that was it. They also got dudes to stop the run. I love the Tomlinson move. I love the fact that they have a guy, that they have a DJ Reader type guy, that they're going to have the balance of guys who could stop the run in the middle, but also get to the quarterback, and it's not one or the other. Jim Schwartz is a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. That the biggest changes that the Reds, oh my goodness, that the Browns made in the offseason was to shore up the defense, because you know what? You got obviously Deshaun Watson. All right, a top 10 quarterback. When he's on his A game, I think he's a top 5 quarterback. So I'm excited about that. Nothing but positive reviews from camp. He is head and shoulders better than he was a year ago. Obviously, they haven't played anybody, and that's really all that matters. But if you're getting positive reviews from camp compared to last year, that's a hell of a lot better than a lot of the reports from last year. So, yeah. What are you upset about? And this question of how are they on the same level? They haven't done anything. No one said that they're on the same level, but this is about the rosters heading into this year, the expectations heading into this year. This isn't like a legacy comparison thing. And this whole idea that, well, my team that's never won a Super Bowl is better than your team that's never won a Super Bowl. That's an embarrassing argument to make, Bengals fans. Do better. Do better. You should focus on why all of a sudden this contract negotiation that's being drawn out between Joe Burrow and the Bengals is starting to resemble a lot of what happened in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Because let's keep in mind, you guys should be focusing on that, but you're insecure. You're more upset with a Bucky Brooks for complimenting the Browns than you are your own organization for not having a deal done yet with Joe Burrow. When all your lame excuses all offseason were, well, Joe Burrow's playing the long game. He wants to wait until after all the quarterbacks are paid so that he could be the highest paid quarterback. You guys told me that all the other stuff is in place. It's just a matter of a signature and increasing a number once Herbert gets paid. You just heard from me and Rappaport on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, basically say, hey, you know what? Nothing's imminent. Nothing's close. That means he has asked for something and he's not getting it. And the question is why? Joe Burrow has led a team to a Super Bowl. But yet Justin Herbert, who has not led a team to a Super Bowl, who has not done anything in the playoffs, he gets paid before Burrow. Jalen Hurts took his team to a Super Bowl. They got a deal done just fine. Lamar Jackson wasn't pretty, but he's a former league MVP. He got his money. So how could Justin Herbert get his money before Joe Burrow? I would think that Justin Herbert and his camp, even though I think he's a better skilled quarterback than Joe Burrow, I would think that his camp would have a lot more explaining and negotiating and convincing to do to get his deal than what Joe Burrow would. The more things change, the more they stay the same. My suggestion, Bengals fans, and yes, the season is almost here. I highly suggest you stop your crying. You stop wetting your pants just because someone complimented the Cleveland Browns. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I promise you'll be fine. All right. Jake North on YouTube. How come every time I tune into the show, this guy just craps on the Bengals? Jake North, thank you for tuning in. And I'm not really crapping on the Bengals. What am I saying that's wrong? Jake North, do you want me to say that it's a good thing that the Bengals have not signed Joe Burrow? If you're going to cry, if you're going to come in and whine, have better takes than that. How come every time I tune in, this guy just craps on the Bengals? How come everything I say you don't actually listen to? You just cry and piss and moan because, hey, that's a lot easier to do than to actually say, you know what? That's a good point, Kenner. Why haven't the Bengals got a deal done with our amazing quarterback who walks on water? Well, maybe not walking right now. The calf a little messed up, but you see my point. What am I saying that's wrong? What did I say that is wrong for you to feel that way? I'm just curious. Ron Howard said, didn't Bucky say on paper? Yes. You got to start somewhere. The Browns improved their team on paper. If the Browns got worse on paper, what's the expectations to be better next year? Not very much. Do you realize that the hate from your fan base runs so deep for the Browns that your only knock against them is up? Oh, yeah, they won the offseason. Your team lost a safety. Your team lost a linebacker. Your team replaced them with rookies, and is trying to convince us that a team that statistically ranks in the middle of the league with those guys, with one of the top safeties in football, with one of the best linebackers, you guys lose them, and you're supposed to convince me that they got better. The Bengals got worse defensively. The Browns got better. I don't know what you want me to say. Jake North, again, I want to know, what did I say that was wrong? Tell me what I said that was wrong. I'm curious. I would love to know what I said that was wrong. I don't think me pointing out that it's weird that the Bengals haven't got a deal done with Burrow is weird. That's not weird at all, actually. That's weird. But you getting mad at me pointing that out, that's silly. Get over yourself, dude. Not that big a deal. It's okay to be critical of your team. I am a Reds fan. I'm critical of the Cincinnati Reds. How come the intelligent fan base that is the Reds, they don't get upset when I'm critical of the team? Because Reds fans are smarter than Bengals fans. It's as simple as that. Bengals fans, why is it that when I question a bad front office decision to not have Burrow signed already, why is that a bad thing? I mean, it's a bad thing, but you're blaming me instead of holding your team accountable. I mean, my goodness, we got to stop with this. Randy Bertholf, I'm here for parity in the divisions. Keep the AFC North and the NL Central competitive for the Bengals, Browns, and Reds. I want to watch interesting games. I'm with you, Randy, on that. The fact that we're heading into a season in the NFL where I saw USA Today win-loss projection for the AFC North, and it had, I think it was either the Browns finishing last or the Steelers finishing last, but I forgot who it was, but the Browns or the Steelers had 11 wins and finished last in the AFC North. My goodness. Imagine winning 11 games and being last in your division. That's parity right there. That's good. The AFC North is tough. There you go. All right, good stuff. It's the Kinner and Kev Show right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. William Yelly says, Watson, the top 5, quit smoking Kinner. That he's a top 10 quarterback, and when he returns to what he was 2 years ago, yes, he's a top 5 quarterback. What do you not understand football? Did you just start watching football last year and just letting those 6 games erase his entire career? William, well, you go learn football. We're going to pay some bills around here, and then we'll be back in a few minutes. Skinner and Kev Show, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast says mostly clear skies and 61 tonight. It's sunny and 87 for the day tomorrow. Could see some rain on Thursday and a high of 84. I'm Rick Schrempf for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
Cowboy boots are more than functional. They're works of art. At Boot Barn, we see a cowboy boot not only as a symbol of the West, but also as a unique masterpiece. Corral designs their boots with artistry in mind. From striking laser-cut inlays to Western embroidery, their handcrafted boots are dedicated to artistic craftsmanship for cowboy boots made to be worn and collected. Corral boots at Boot Barn.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Save 11%. A Menards unbeatable selection of Atlas roofing products. Castlebrook, Briarwood, and Pinnacle shingles feature a limited lifetime warranty, up to 130-mile-per-hour wind warranty, and a super wide design for fast installation. Protect your home for years to come. And save 11% on all Atlas shingles right now at Menards. Good through August 6th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $25 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $75 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/5. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
From supporting local food banks to raising money for those in need, our listeners know they can count on 1410 Wing AM to lend a helping hand. Like thousands of AM radio stations across the country, we take seriously our commitment to our listeners and our community. More than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio for help and a connection. In addition to the news, information, and entertainment we provide, we would love to hear what you value most about AM radio. Visit wearebroadcasters.com and tell us how you depend on AM.
ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel is where you can watch Dayton's only local sports talk show. Hang out with Kinner and Kev weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
As of right now, still quiet on the Reds trade front. I mean, we're getting closer and closer. We're getting closer and closer to the MLB trade deadline, and still nothing yet from the Cincinnati Reds as far as any kind of move of substance. Nothing worth talking about. Nothing worth being excited about. A little bit ago, You know, it was announced, ESPN's Jeff Passan, that Justin Verlander and the Houston Astros, or I should say the Mets and the Houston Astros, have a deal in place for the Astros to acquire Justin Verlander from the Mets, as far as that's concerned. And it does sound like the Mets did have to, or the Astros had to give up one of their top prospects to be able to get him. And I know we talked about this a little bit ago with Kev, but for our new listeners who just jumped in, I want to bring this up because there's a quote from John Morosi from earlier today regarding what he's hearing from the Reds front office. John Morosi, his tweet a little bit ago, said that the Reds remain involved in the starting pitching trade market. All right. But they are somewhat reluctant to pay high prices for top of the market arms. So you want top of the market arms, but you don't want to pay top of the market money. That, or at least, asking price and giving up prospects and stuff. I mean, as I joked earlier, imagine needing a car, wanting to buy a car, but you go to any of our amazing local car dealerships here in the Miami Valley and you say, I want your most expensive car on the lot, but I don't want to pay what it's worth. Can you just give it to me? Do you see how idiotic the Reds are being at this trade deadline? I'm getting more irritated as we're getting closer and closer. I thought I was going to be under control. I thought I was going to be cool, calm, and collected. But I mean, look, look how far we are into the show. Still nothing. What are we doing? Do you want to win or not? Like I'm as I tweeted out earlier, I am torn on this because I get that you don't want to mortgage the future, but I keep hearing about the future. The Reds traded away Jesse Winker, which was the right thing to do. You moved on from Eugenio Suarez. You moved on from Sonny Gray. You moved on from Luis Castillo. You moved on from all of these pieces that I defended because I was under the impression that all of these moves were being made for the future. Well, technically, isn't today what was considered the future a year, 2, 3 years ago? I am tired of the gaslighting BS that comes from these front offices when they try and tell you, yeah, well, we don't want to mortgage the future. Well, as far as I'm concerned, 3 years ago, if you would have told me that we're going to make moves that will put us in position to be first place in the NL Central in August, I would say that those were the moves you made for the future. Why are we always kicking the can that is labeled future down the road? I am so tired of hearing about prospects. We don't want to mortgage the future. Why don't you worry about the now? Nick Krall, because you keep screwing up and you keep having these losing seasons despite the kick-ass moves you make, by the way. I'm a fan. By the way, I'm a Nick Krall guy. I love Nick Krall. He has killed it. It doesn't mean that he hasn't been wrong in how he's handled this trade deadline. Every decision that you make is based on the future. Well, when is the now at the top of the priority list? I mean, are you kidding me? This was supposed to be a 100-loss team. This team was supposed to be garbage. David Bell was not supposed to get a contract extension. All of these things keep happening. How come you sign David Bell to an extension? What if you mortgage the future by, extending an average manager? What if the Reds fall off a cliff the rest of the season? Now you're married to him for the next 2 years. I am a fan of Nick Krall. I am not a fan of Nick Krall's handlings of this trade deadline. And now it's not over yet. And like usual, I'm sure scrambled eggs will be made with all the egg on my face when it's all said and done. But here's the deal. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that you guys make fun of me here. I hope that the cold takes or freezing takes exposed, whatever that is on the old post and Twitter and the X, whatever it is. I'm fine with all of that. I hope Nick Krall goes out and just surprises the hell out of everybody. But I'm here to tell you, we shouldn't be surprised by anything because the Reds are going to do what the Reds do that I always try to defend, and that is they'll make the right decision when it's time. Now's the right time. This team was supposed to lose 100 games this season. They won 62 games a season ago. They have 59 wins right now. You know when they won their 59th game last season? September 22nd of 2022. They have 59 wins here on August 1st. This is a team sitting atop the division, 10 games above 500, a game and a half over the team that has owned them in the division. The Reds the Cubs have not had their number this year. They've beaten the Cubs. They've beaten the Pirates. They've taken care of the Cardinals. The Dodgers, it's the Los Angeles freaking Dodgers. It's one of the top teams in baseball. Who cares? The Reds have owned them. The Giants, no problem. The Diamondbacks, 57-50, one of the top teams in baseball, swept them. Padres taking 2 or 3 from them. No matter the Rockies, 2 or 3 from them. Oh, let's head over to the East. The Phillies took care of business. Marlins, 2 or 3. The Mets took 2 or 3. The Nationals probably going to sweep them coming up. They'll win that series. The Reds own the National League outside of the Braves. Or I should say the Reds own the National League outside of the Brewers. Yes, the Braves have technically, won all but one game in that series, but it has been a one-run game in every single one of those. The Braves have not owned the Reds. Like the Reds, are just one more tweak away from having the same record against the Braves that the Braves have against them. And the Braves are the best team in baseball. And yet the Reds match up with the Braves. The Reds are even with the Braves as far as talent and the way that the games go, the flow of the games, everything. The Reds run into the Braves in the postseason. You heard the Braves manager when they played last time, let's just hurry up and get this series out of here. They could not wait to get out of Cincinnati. The Reds were a pain in their ass. I am tired of the future. We can't mortgage the future. You keep sitting on these prospects so that you can get to the point to where you're in first place in one of the top teams in the division. The Reds could get to a World Series. The Reds could get there. I just mentioned there are only 2 teams that I'm worried about in the National League, and it's the Brewers and it's the Braves. There's not one other team in the National League that I'm concerned about as a Reds fan. There's not one other team that has matched up well with the Reds all season. They've owned the Dodgers. They've owned the NL West. They've owned their division outside of Milwaukee. They've owned the NL East outside of the Braves. The Braves and the Brewers, that's it. Which means you have a very, very good shot of getting to the National League Championship Series, which means you are going to need talent to get there. This idea that, we're at the top of the division, we'll be fine. We're going to get Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo back. We'll be all right. You might be all right. You're good enough. This team is a playoff team. This team is good enough to make the playoffs right now. This team's good enough to win this division. This team is not good enough to win a 7-game series against the Braves without a legitimate starting pitcher in that rotation, period. I don't care how good Andrew Abbott's looked this year. I don't care how good Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green are capable of being. There are second-year starting pitchers who have missed the majority of the second year due to injury. And Andrew Abbott last night, was a bad night for him. So he's shown that he's human, actually. Look, bottom line is I'm getting antsy. I'm getting irritated. And I am just tired as a fan of constantly being gaslit by that front office, by that organization, constantly saying, I just don't want to mortgage the future. The future's now. The future is now. And I said this earlier. If the Reds were like 2.5 games, 3 games out of the division, I'm fine with sitting on the prospects and saying, you know what, let's just let, this was supposed to be a 100-loss season. They're within striking distance. But, this team's good enough to be in the World Series conversation. You guys can laugh at me all you want, but they are. The runs that they produce, the bullpen, the best closer in baseball. The guys that they have up and down, there is no excuse for why the Reds should doubt that this team's good enough to win a World Series. And here's the deal. If you ask them and they say, we do believe we're good enough to win the World Series, then why don't you act like it? And if they don't feel that way, then that's bogus, because look at what they've done this year. All right. This isn't me overreacting to a month of hot baseball. This is 4 months in. 59-49, 10 games above 500, a game and a half lead in the division, and a good division. It's not the best division, but it's a very, very good division. The Brewers can win a series in the playoffs. The Brewers can get to the National League Championship Series in the playoffs. The Cubs are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. The Reds just kind of thumped them not really thumped them. It was a 1-run. But what I mean is they kind of put a halt to their run a little bit, right? But the Cubs are 8-2 in their last 10. And the Reds took care of business in Game 1 at Wrigley last night. With, by the way, their starting pitcher having one of his worst outings of the season in Andrew Abbott. Actually, not one of them. That was Andrew Abbott's worst outing all season long. And the Reds found a way to win. Stop it. They've messed up. They didn't get get Michael Lorenzen. They didn't get Justin Verlander. All right, you look at the pitcher. Who's the pitcher that the Guardians just gave up yesterday? That was a young pitcher with an ERA just over 2 that they would have team control of. What are we doing? I'm sorry, but this is just getting a little frustrating as far as I'm concerned. It's the Justin Kinner Show. It's the Kinner and Kev Show right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Game 2 tonight between the Reds and the Cubs. This is such a big series because of the fact that it is a 4-game series. All games are have an 8:05 first pitch. All games pregame coverage begins at 7:35. Scott Campbell on YouTube says trading for a starting pitcher strengthens the bullpen as a current starter moves to the pen. It also helps the future starting pitcher in the minors to develop for another year. Exactly. Connor Phillips. Everyone's like, well, let's just bring Connor Phillips up. Let's let Connor Phillips finish out the year in the minors. Because here's the deal. Connor Phillips can come up right now and help this team, but I don't want another rookie pitcher to rely on in the playoffs. I get that what make the Reds so unique and special is the fact that rookies are leading this team. Second-year starters leading this team. But let's be real. That's not a blueprint that anyone in the history of baseball has ever followed. So at a certain point, it might blow up in the Reds' faces. And it's not because of bad decision-making calling these guys up. It was the great decision-making calling these guys up that put them in this position. But just because you've made a string of good decisions doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be held accountable for the bad decisions you make. And the idea that you're going to go into the playoffs with an all-rookie rotation and second-year starter rotation, that's embarrassingly dumb. It just is. It's not good decision-making. Hey, we don't want to try and win it all this year because we're worried about the future. In the future, you're not promised to be right back where you are right now. You think that the Cubs are going to stay average moving forward? No, the Cubs are going to revamp in the offseason. They're a destination franchise. Free agents want to go there. They have management that'll pay. The Cubs are going to reload. You think the Cardinals are going to stay flat long? Hell no. The Pirates, they had their season's actually not bad. I know Pirates fans, you don't want to hear this, but like the season that the Pirates are having, the Pirates were supposed to be a year ahead of schedule on the Reds. The Pirates should technically be that, and the Pirates were the hot team to start the year, even dropping 2 or 3 to the Reds to start the season, even without Encarnacion Strand and Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain and Andrew Abbott and all the other star rookies that, the top young guns that have been called up. The Pirates were supposed to be a year ahead of the Reds as far as their rebuild. And the Reds haven't just caught up to them. They've lapped them 500 times. This is a joke, and I'm getting irritated. And I really hope that at any moment, one of you is going to say, hey, stop complaining, Kenner. The Reds just pulled off a mega deal. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. Reds-Cubs, Game 2 tonight. Dayton's radio home of the Reds, 1410 Wing AM. Excited for that matchup. Yesterday, we caught up with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, which you can catch the Keith Byers Show tomorrow from noon to 1 right here on 1410 Wing AM. I was able to ask Keith Byers his thoughts on Ryan Day being willing to move the Ohio State-Michigan game because of the possibility of playing in back-to-back weeks. Real quick, let's go to Packers fan Tim before we move on to that conversation. Packers fan Tim, how are you, my friend?
Hey, pretty good. Hey, I got to come to the Bengals' defense. The other day you were talking about, and I'm not saying that Justin Herbert's not as good as Burrow, but you said it's not debatable based on stats. Now, these are cold, hard stats, and I hope some of the Bengal fans are listening. Why they don't call in, I don't know. In the past 2 years, I can't go back to their first year because Burrow was hurt. Burrow has 69 touchdowns. Herbert's got 63.
Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
I know, but we're just going on stats. I also think, hey, I like Herbert because he's durable. He's big and he's strong. I think Burrow's a great athlete. I meant Herbert. Herbert, I think maybe I'd take him just because that dude plays every game. He's a beast. But we're just going by stats. That was your thing with stats. Burrow has got 9,086 yards. Herbert's got 9,753. That goes to Herbert. But he has thrown for 245 more passes. Herbert's passer rating has never been above 100. It's like 95.45. Burrow, 104.5. He's been over 100 both years as a starter. Interceptions, Herbert's only got 25. Burrow's got 26. Now, I have to give that to Herbert more than just the one because that's with throwing so many more passes. He's got less interceptions. So that's a big deal for Herbert. Completion percentage, that's Burrow. I mean, so of those 5 categories, 4 of them are going to Burrow. So as far as stats, I think you can make the case that Burrow's a better quarterback. Sure, he's got the best receiving core in the NFL. But as far as stats, I say you got to go with Burrow. And as far as Aaron Rodgers, man, I've got an AFC team this year in addition to the Packers in the NFC. And I can't wait to see all of these games, man, against Herbert, against Mahomes, against Allen twice, against Jalen Hurts. They've got a beast of a schedule. But I've been watching a lot of their preseason. Garrett Wilson is insane. He's so much farther ahead of where Devontae Adams was. It took Devontae Adams his third, fourth year before he was really good. Garrett Wilson is just unbelievable. I think they are going to have some offensive line problems, but the Jets could be just fantastic. One last thing, Justin. Your guy, Deshaun Watson, I don't think is a top 5 quarterback. I think that Deshaun is his best year in 2020. He had 6 guys throw more touchdown passes than him. He was tied with Ryan Tannehill for
who was his best receiver
touchdowns.
that year? Who was his best receiver that year?
Was it DeAndre Hopkins?
Nope, Hopkins wasn't there that year. His best year when
okay.
they took his best player, and this isn't a shot at Aaron Rodgers. I defended Aaron Rodgers because of this, but when Aaron Rodgers,
no, I'm talking about Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I know.
His
I'm just
best year
saying,
in
you take a quarterback's best receiver away, their numbers decline. Joe Burrow would decline without Jamar Chase, like we saw last year. Aaron Rodgers declined without his top wide receiver. And Deshaun Watson was better without his top wide receiver. That's my point. Like that year, his best statistical year was the year without DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, but still, who did Ryan Tannehill have to throw to? And they have the same 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
What was the yards?
I don't know.
That
probably
matters.
No percentage, completion percentage. I don't care for yards because you could be like Herbert and throw 700 passes.
You just threw all these stats at me a little bit ago, and now you're going to tell me that you don't care about the yards. That kind of matters.
Well, I don't hold it as high. I think it's yards per attempt. Yards per attempt. Now, if you throw 700 passes and another guy throws 540 passes over a season, well, that's like 5-6 games if a guy's throwing 33 passes a game. So, to me, I've never been a big yardage guy. I've been about touchdowns, interceptions, yards per attempt, things like that. But anyways, that year when Deshaun Watson had his best year, he was tied with touchdown passes with Ben Roethlisberger. So, I don't know. He could be a top 5, but I don't think even at his best season, he would not have been a top 5 quarterback.
He was an MVP candidate that
year. Where did he finish in the voting?
I think it was like 3rd or 4th.
9th? No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. Go back
and
look.
He could have been.
I have it in my notes. He finished top 5 in MVP voting that year. Yes, he did. He did.
He was a Pro Bowler. He wasn't top 5 in the MVP.
He was.
He had to be behind Brady. He was behind Russell Wilson.
No, top 5. And maybe if Wilson was 4 and Wilson was 3, then okay.
Yeah, I'll have to check that. Because
you don't have to. I'm telling you, it's on my notes.
I think Aaron Donald probably had more votes for MVP. That's the year when Rodgers threw 48 touchdowns. So I don't see how somebody throwing 33 TDs with 7 INTs is going to be in the running. But maybe. I didn't check for the MVP, but I'll have to check that out. So anyways, a good show, and I'm looking forward to watching some AFC games with you guys this year.
Deshaun Watson, number 5 in MVP voting that season.
Okay, so he was 5th.
He was 5th.
Okay,
Patrick Mahomes was ahead of him. Hell, wide receiver Michael Thomas finished 3rd that year. Russell Wilson, you are right, was number 2. And then, of course, that was the Lamar Jackson MVP year. But I'm not right often, but I know that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback, all right? That's my guy. He's a horrible person, but that's my quarterback, okay?
I'll keep your quarterback's name out my mouth.
Yeah. Packers fan Tim, you the man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. See, you guys, it's like, I get it. He's a scumbag, guys. I get it. All the allegations against him, but he was top 5 in MVP votes that year. And that was, he lost DeAndre Hopkins. You saw Joe Burrow, he averaged 30 yards less per game when he lost, his guy Jamar Chase last year. He averaged a touchdown and a half per game less when he lost Jamar Chase last season. Okay? His efficiency went down. His completion percentage went down. All that. And that's fine. You're not the same quarterback. When you lose Jamar Chase, of course you're not going to be as good. All right, Aaron Rodgers lose Devontae Adams, which I defended. I said, everyone's saying that Aaron Rodgers, he's horrible. You take a quarterback's best receiver away, yeah, they're not going to be very good. Or that's not true. They're not going to be as good. Joe Burrow was still good without Chase. Aaron Rodgers was still good without Adams, but they weren't the same quarterbacks in those stretches. But my guy, horrible person, talking about the quarterback, though, in Mr. Deshaun Watson, you took one of the top wide receivers even in today's NFL. You took him away from him 3 years ago. If he's good now, imagine how better he was 3 years ago. You take your best player away and you still finish in the top 5 MVP voting? Just saying. I'm just saying. Like that's legit. That's legit. Show me quarterbacks who get better when you take their number one option away. There's only one quarterback outside of Deshaun Watson that I know that when you take their best weapon away, they get better. And I believe that guy's name is Patrick Mahomes. Just throwing that out there.
Hey, I got some wise words for that Cincinnati mayor. Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni. You gotta fight for your right to party.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater, high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levinson, and plenty of vinyl and tube gear. Plus exotics you only see in the magazines. Stop by today and visit Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom and see and audition the best audio and video has to offer. While you're in, check out our huge selection of pre-owned vintage gear. A great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc. Crazy cool showroom.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $25 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $75 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/5. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This your captain. Better buckle your seatbelts for this one. I saw my passport expired, so I went to Staples, got a passport photo lickety-split. While I was there, I grabbed some tiny travel soap and shampoo. I should have got some from my co-pilot. Just kidding, Brad.
Staples has everything for travel. 10-minute passport photos, luggage, headphones, even personal travel items. And now at Staples, get $10 off your purchase of $30 or more when you buy a travel service. Staples, your first stop to nonstop travel. Ends 9/16. In-store only. Exclusions apply.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Okay, next time you're at the store, I dare you to not think about the unmistakable fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring. Yeah, you heard me. I want you to resist picturing a shower filled with those sensational Irish Spring suds. And if you succeed, well, you got what my gramps used to call resolutitude. Not a real word, but let's be honest, you're probably going to end up leaving with Irish Spring because of its irresistible scent and because you have zero resolutitude. Pick up Irish Spring at Walmart today.
Find more school essentials at Family Dollar. From school supplies to dorm room decor and even stylish apparel. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Have a hot take of your own that you're just dying to get off your chest? Text or call the ESPN Dayton hotline at 937-518-1410. That's how you can be a part of our local shows throughout the week, like the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m., and the Keith Byers Show, Mondays at noon. Call or text the shows at 937-518-1410.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, interesting development here. We have an update on the Reds as far as the trade deadline is concerned. This is a big update. Take a listen. Oh, yeah, nothing. Sorry, my bad. Nothing to update here. My bad. Yeah, still quiet. Nick Kroll. He feels good about having all rookies and second-year starters in his rotation when they're good enough to win a World Series. Oh, well. Okay. All right. Kenner and Kev Show. Mine is Kev for this hour, of course, but we welcome everyone back again. And look, earlier, like this show's kind of taken off. It's off the rails a little bit today. I get that. I've lost control of the show, and that's completely fine. But it all stemmed back to earlier in the show, we did Say What. And during the Say What segment, there was a clip from Bucky Brooks that was talking about that he believes that the Browns are as good as the Bengals, and he would not be surprised to see the Browns win the AFC North. And, of course, Bengals fans lost their minds. Not all of them, but most of them. And instead of everyone, and now Packers fan Tim, he's not a Bengals fan, but there's two groups of people. You could take Bengals fans and you could separate them. All right, there are the true Bengals fans, and then there are Browns haters posing as Bengals fans. When as I stated earlier, Ian Rappaport on the Pat McAfee show said that no deal is imminent between the Bengals and Joe Burrow. And the big question I had is how? They've had all off season to get this done. The same whole off season and the same amount of years that the Chargers saw enough of Justin Herbert to get their deal done. The Eagles saw enough of Jalen Hurts, who led them to a Super Bowl just like Burrow did. They saw enough of him to get that deal done. Obviously, Lamar and the Ravens, there was a lot of kicking and screaming, but they ended up getting that deal done. So what is this like? The Bengals are, we're a little delayed. Look, folks, I went back and looked. The very first initial report of the Bengals and Joe Burrow have just, already begun negotiating. The first report of that came out in February. ESPN sources have been informed that negotiations have started between the camp of Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. What's happening? What's taking so long? So anyways, I was critical of that. I was not really critical, kind of. But Bengals fans, I bring this stuff up. You guys have nothing to say. You have no counterpunch. Now, I moved on to the Browns conversation with Bucky Brooks. Bucky Brooks ended up saying that he's a believer in the Cleveland Browns. He thinks they're good enough to win the division. And that got your attention. That filled up the comment section. That filled up the phone lines. When the Browns get compliments, that gets your attention. When I question why has your team not got a deal done with your quarterback yet, well, it's very similar to the reports of the Reds at the deadline. Got nothing to say. Crickets. Nothing. So there are legitimate Bengals fans who care and love their team. And then there are Bengals fans who are pretending to be Bengals fans, but their whole purpose in life is just to hate the Browns for everything that they do. That's the majority of the listeners of this show. And I get it. And that's fine. But, Jody Van Winkle says, I agree with Bucky Brooks about the Browns, but not from JK. Is it me? Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe if it, but no, nevertheless, Bucky Brooks is the one that got this all started. So anyways, made a comment earlier that I do not believe. And then some of you fans started piling on the Browns saying, oh yeah, the off-season champions. What are you all the Bengals fans do is brag about how great they are in the draft. You brag about, you're the Bengals won the offseason with adding the number one free agent, that was available this year in Orlando Brown Jr. What are we doing here? The Bengals are the ones that win the offseason every year. Now they do win in the regular season. They come up short, but they win more than the Browns in the regular season. I completely get that. I'm not denying that. But this idea that you don't have anything else to rip the Browns for other than trying in the offseason, you don't have a shot in the regular season if you don't at least try in the offseason. So your only shot against the Browns is, because you know that they got vastly better from last year, is, oh yeah, look at them, offseason champs. What? You guys are the only that makes sense to you, ripping a team for getting better in the offseason. That's the best comeback you guys have. I don't get it. I don't get it. Doug Toby, Sam Weish quote, you live in Dayton, not Cleveland. Well, okay, Douglas, you live in Dayton, not Cincinnati. What's your point? Up until 2 years ago, like I said, I don't need to go back to the same jokes all the time. All the new Bengals fans, you guys haven't even cut the tags off your new jerseys yet in case you need to bring them back, blah, 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 blah. Okay, anyways, get that out of the way. But the hate on Deshaun Watson, you want to hate on Deshaun Watson, the person, go right on ahead. But Deshaun Watson was a top 5 quarterback and still is that guy. He didn't miss 2 years because of injury. He missed 2 guys because he's an idiot, right? He put himself in bad situations. He's made bad decisions. He's an idiot, but he's not physically worse, all that stuff. The 6 games. You have training camp last year, and then you got to stop everything for 9 weeks. Then you get 2 weeks of practice, and then you hit the ground running against the Houston Texans and the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Boom. They hit the ground running. None of that was ever going to work. That's the one reason the Browns almost wanted Deshaun Watson to be suspended for the entire 2022 season, because it would have made it a lot easier if they decided to go, track down and go get a Jimmy Garoppolo or go get, to be honest, I think the Browns might have been better off having Jacoby Brissett as quarterback for the entire season than the stop and go, bumper to bumper traffic movement when it came to quarterback last year. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as that's concerned. But to hate on so I said top 5. I brought up the fact that he's finished top 5 in MVP voting back in 19. The last full year that he played, people lost their minds on me. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. He did. In fact, this came out just a little bit ago that Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has a career 260 yards per game average. That puts him 12th best all time in NFL history, ahead of players like Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Eli Manning, Joe Burrow, etc. Watson's 260 yards per game ranks 8th highest. All right, it ranks 8th highest amongst active players. Also, if you omit last year's 6-game early preseason numbers for Watson, his career yards per game was 270. That would put him at 8th best all time, right behind Peyton Manning. With the exception that Kevin Stefanski opens up the passing game more in 2023, look for Watson to continue to build on his all-time great passing numbers. That's all I'm going to say about that. I just like to remind y'all that Deshaun Watson could play the quarterback position at a very, very high level. Is he better than Joe Burrow? I don't know. Is he as good as Joe Burrow? I believe so. Yes. I believe the Browns have as good a quarterback as the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're going to see that this year. And all reports out of camp is that he looks like his old self again. He looks nothing like he did last year. I could see why that would bother you. I can definitely see it. There's a reason that Bengals fans don't react to anytime the Pittsburgh Steelers are brought up. That doesn't do anything for you. You're not afraid. You're not afraid of Kenny Pickett. Lamar Jackson, despite being really, really good, of course, you guys don't fear Lamar. I know I don't as a Browns fan. Like, Lamar's very, very good, but I don't fear OBJ. I don't, Zay Flowers, maybe he is a difference maker, but I have to see it to believe it. Lamar Jackson won an MVP because of his ability to run the football. And then their new offensive coordinator comes out and says, we're going to run less and pass more. So you're going to do less of what led him to be an MVP quarterback. Sorry, I don't fear him either. But I understand why anytime there's a compliment of the Browns quarterback, you guys lose your damn minds. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel good. Y'all think I'm jealous of you. I think you're jealous of the Browns. This is going to be a fun season. I cannot wait for when we kick things off. Let's go to who we got. We got Doug. Doug, thanks for holding. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Justin?
Another day in paradise. What you got for me, man?
Hey, yeah. I got the tail end of the gentleman that just called before, and he was talking about Deshaun Watson. His best year was 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And I almost from a critical standpoint, and Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, none of them has had a year that good. None of them have had, they've thrown those many touchdowns, but they all throw 12, 13, 14 interceptions every year. 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions is much better than 34 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. And Joe Burrow's last 2 years, he's been like, he done threw 12 and 14 interceptions, around 34, 35 touchdowns. That's not better than 33 and 7. So it's like, you arguing something that ain't even a point to bring up when your guy hasn't thrown. I mean, stats are worse than that. And then what happens is, in a lot of cases, because I get in arguments all the time, they'll say, well, Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl. Okay, that's fine. But you're talking about interceptions and touchdowns and stats. You're not talking about wins and losses. So that's the argument that somebody usually would take it to, because he went to the Super Bowl. Okay, talk about the Super Bowl. But if you're talking about stats, then that's what the argument is. It's not about Super Bowl. So why would that guy say the best year he had is 33 and 7 when his guys have never had a season that good?
Well, Tim is a Packers fan. So he's going to have his hands
full
with
guys
Jordan
he was
Love.
arguing for.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
I heard him bring up Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. And they've never had a season that good.
But Doug, wait, what? I get what you're saying, but see, we keep moving the goalposts. At 1 minute we say stats don't matter, and then we want to bring up, well, he said stats matter, so these stats are better than that. And now we're just talking each other in circles. Doug, the only thing I can't agree with you on is, like, Joe Burrow he's like the one thing, like, he's an elite quarterback. I'm not here to discredit
I
Joe
didn't
Burrow.
say he wasn't elite, but I'm saying when you're talking, if you're going to criticize somebody's stats, then you make sure the guys that you're in favor of stats are better than that. That's all I'm saying. Fair. I ain't saying whether Joe Burrow is better than him or nothing. But if you go, he's criticizing it. Well, only the best year he had is only 33 and 7. Well, none of your quarterbacks have had a year that good. And that's not saying who's the best, but we talking about stats. Ain't that what he was talking about?
Yes, sir. He was actually calling to tell me that he was making fun of me for using stats to win my argument last week and then used that to counter me with a bunch of stats. I don't know. Tim's a good dude. I ain't going to bash Tim, but I didn't understand the use of all the stats if he told me all the stats didn't matter. The bottom line is the eye test does play a role in this. For right now, if I had to pick between Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson, right now, it's Joe Burrow. But a year from now, when the season is done, I still think people pick Joe Burrow over Watson because Joe Burrow is going to be viewed as the better human being and all this stuff. But I think Watson is as good as Burrow. I don't think that the gap is as wide. In fact, I'll take and I think that, and Doug, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Burrow is very crafty with the ball in his hands, and that's why this calf injury is slightly. Like I heard Dan Orlovsky talk about this earlier today. He was talking about the fact that, hey, you know what? Like this injury could be a big deal because of the fact that like he is sneaky good in the pocket as far as as much as he gets sacked, imagine the sacks that are left on the field because of his ability to kind of weave in and out of the pocket. And will he have that same sneaky quickness with that calf injury? That's key. But as good as he can be, Deshaun Watson's athletic ability, I'll take any day of the week. I'll take Deshaun Watson's athletic ability over Burrow's any day of the week. And when Deshaun Watson gets his passing game back and flowing, which it sounds like that's the case during camp right now, he's as good a passer as Burrow. He's as accurate as Burrow. I mean, Deshaun Watson's last full season in the league, he completed 68% of his passes. He completed 68% of his passes. What are we doing? Last season, when you want to talk about completion percentage and all that, and you want to talk about Joe Burrow and the season that he had, Joe Burrow, guess what he completed? 68% of his passes. Deshaun Watson's an accurate he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL, like Joe Burrow. Period. Like, I'm not here to bash Burrow. I'm here defending my dude. Bad person, elite quarterback. It's as simple as that. And that's why I said I get why you guys are concerned. What up, Jesse? How are you?
Hey, is this Justin Kenner, 1410 ESPN Radio?
This is Justin Kenner, 1410 ESPN Radio, Monday through Friday. Yes. Yes, it is.
I had to Google you. You're the first one that popped up. I was looking for great sports talk. And then
what all popped up when you Googled my name? I'm a little concerned.
I'm not allowed to say that on the radio.
Yeah, I thought I got that expunged, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with Tim there. I would never put you down. I don't know what his problem was. But I called in for some Reds talk, but here you go throwing water balloons at Bengals fans once again. So I guess my question is now I have to switch it over from Reds to Bengals because this is what you do. But I think the Browns are going to be good next year too, but they're going to be second in the division, and you know who they're going to be second to.
You're that high on the Ravens?
Can't be happy with that.
You're that high on the Ravens?
No, not the Ravens. I think you guys can beat the Ravens. Ain't neither y'all beating the Bengals. You know that.
So you don't think we can beat the Bengals, even though that's
Browns having a good season? Go ahead. What'd you say?
So you don't think the Browns could beat the Bengals, even though that's the only team that they seem to be able to consistently win against anyways?
Oh, they'll definitely win one game against the Bengals, but they will not have a better record. The Bengals will win the division, and I think it's a strong possibility that the Browns get second. I know everybody says the Ravens. I think you guys are just as good as the Ravens, and Pittsburgh's going to be close, but I would have no surprise in my mind if the Browns got second. And they're going to get second, and that's the best they're going to do because they're not going to beat the Bengals in the division. And you know this. Why can't you just be happy about that?
Let's go through this. Just play along here. Quarterback advantage, Bengals, Browns. Bengals, right? Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a given. But not by much. Yeah. But yes, Bengals. All right. Wide receivers, Browns, Bengals.
Bengals.
Yes, we agree. And I like the Browns. I think the Browns have depth at wide receiver, but they don't have the core that is what they have. I mean, Amari Cooper is T. Higgins. I mean, statistically.
Oh, don't dance around it. You know the Bengals are better at that.
Yes, I just said that in English. I said that. Okay. Offensive line, Browns or Bengals? Browns. Run game, Browns or Bengals? Browns. Tight end,
yes.
Browns or Bengals?
We don't know yet.
Browns. All right. Defensive line. Defensive line, Browns or Bengals?
That one's close.
It's not close, man. It's not close.
The whole line?
The whole line is not close.
DJ Reader, Trey Henderson, Sam Hubbard. I mean, yeah, that one's closer than you're saying it is.
Miles Garrett? Is it Darius Smith?
Yeah, I know.
You got Tomlinson. Name. I'm just saying. Browns.
That was linebacker. Closer than you're making it. Linebackers. Nothing special there. I'd say even.
All right. Safety. Browns.
This year, yeah.
All right. What is this wide gap that you and Bengals fans envision that exists between the Browns and Bengals?
Joe Burrow.
Not by much.
Yes, it is by much. Yes, it is by much. All the Bengals have to do is put a massage table outside the Browns locker room.
There it is. You know why I know I won that argument? Because when Bengals fans have to resort to that means you have nothing else to say. All right, let's go to the Reds. What you got for the Reds? Because you just lost that.
I disagree with you, but we'll call it a push.
You also paused on who had the better run game between the Browns and Bengals. So come on.
Well, just because I love Chubb and I think Chubb's the best running back in the league. So yes, I'll give you the run game. I was trying to defend myself.
The last good run Joe Mixon had, kids were running away. I mean, I'm just saying, let's be real.
Yeah. But okay. You got the run game.
All right.
The Bengals thing, I just don't understand why you hate on them. You know what your market is here in Dayton. We love the Reds. You just seem to Chick Ludwig is my buddy. I talk to him all the time.
The Chickster?
Yeah, that's why he's making the big money down there, because he knows his market. He kisses the Reds' butt when they're doing
Jesse,
good.
I can't do that. I would never be hired by a flagship station because if the team is not good, I'm not going to tell you that they're good.
But they are good. You never talk about how good they are. You always want to talk about their flaws. Why don't you ever be like the Chickster and say they're good?
I'm an owl right now. Who?
What?
Who are you talking about?
Who's good? The team is good.
Which team?
The Reds. They're good.
All I do is praise the Reds. In fact, coming into the season, I was the one that was having to talk people off the ledge, saying that, hey, this season I'm actually pretty excited about it because of the youth and all the stuff coming up through the system. I've been nice about the Reds this whole entire season. But this is the thing. You fans keep acting like, oh, you got to be and by the way, Chick Ludwig does a great job. Lance McAllister, Mo Egger. I love those guys. They do a great job, but they're also in a position where they have to blow smoke. They have to tell you how great they are, even when they're not being great. The Reds are a very good team. I think they're the third best team in the National League, and I think they have a chance to win a World Series. Doesn't mean I'm not allowed to criticize the front office for sitting on their hands when there's elite weapons that they can go get to increase their chances of winning it all. Why am I the bad guy there? All I do is praise the Reds.
I agree with that, and I really liked your little cricket thing. Right before I called in, I was like, man, now my Reds takes totally sucks, because that was hilarious, and I agree with you on that one. But sometimes I guess I wish you had more passion about criticizing them, as more passion about liking them as you do criticizing them.
This is the only week I've ever criticized the Reds. I questioned extending David Bell in August or July.
The Reds all the time.
No, I do not. Damn it. Why is Kevin not here? Kevin would back me up on this. He doesn't back me up on a lot because I don't deserve it. But this one he would, because he knows.
And you're a huge Joey Votto fan, right?
You mean Joey Votto for 1,500 on the season? The guy hitting 190?
See? I'm taking
that's my point. While Lance McAllister and Mo Egger and Chick Ludwig and those guys, they are paid to tell you that hitting 190 is good. I am paid to give you my actual opinion and not, what they want you to say. I don't, and by the way, that's not a shot at those guys. Chick and them are great. This is not a shot at them. I'm just telling you, when you work for those organizations and those teams, you're not allowed to be critical. You're not. And we're an affiliate, and I've pushed buttons with the Reds. We're not associated with Dayton Flyers basketball. They're used to media drooling over them. I don't give a rip. I don't kiss their little ring. And they tell me I can kiss their you-know-what because they're sensitive, and they don't like when people actually call them out for not making the NCAA tournament. See, now you've pushed my buttons. Now I'm all getting all upset. I'm just saying I'm paid to give my opinion, not their opinion. Just saying. Just saying.
Hey, if you wasn't doing a damn fine job, I wouldn't have your number saved in my phone. Right?
I know. You wouldn't stalk me at the gas station and all the. You didn't do that. I'm just joking.
Have a good night, homie.
Take care. Appreciate you, man. All right, good stuff. It's the Kenner and Kev Show right here on 1410 Wing AM. I am not critical. I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm critical of the Reds. Yes, but I'm critical of their decision-making at the deadline, and I don't think I'm wrong for being critical of a team that is in first place, has a 1.5 game lead, is good enough to beat anyone in the National League outside of the Braves and Brewers. But I'd say if you're better than everyone else that's going to be in the playoffs, you have a legitimate shot to get to the NL Championship Series. My goodness, look out. And by the way, with the Reds potentially winning the division, they wouldn't have to run into the Brewers until the NL Championship Series, which means they wouldn't have to beat the Brewers and Dodgers to get to the World Series. They would just, or the Braves, I'm sorry. They wouldn't have to play both of them. They would just have to play one of them. So that's why it's important for them to have tried to get Justin Verlander and to not say dumb things like Nick Kroll did and say, well, we want top-of-the-line pitching. We just don't want to pay for it. Well, that's silly. You can't go to a car dealership and say, you know what, give me the best car you have, but I don't want to pay the top of the market price for it. You can negotiate down a little, but he wants a rookie scale for a Justin Verlander. Well, that's why this is like the first exciting season in decades. Anyways. All right. Gary Peck on Facebook. He says, Burrow has a big ego. Well earned. Don't let him fool you. Don't be surprised if the contract sticking point has something to do with him being the highest paid quarterback, and over the X amount of time, he gets more money every time a quarterback signs a bigger deal. Joe Burrow is a very smart individual. He knows what he's doing. This is why I laughed at all of you when you guys tried telling me that he was going to take a team-friendly deal. He's not. He's not. And you guys think I'm criticizing him. I'm criticizing you for being that gullible. I'm telling you, I agree with Gary. I don't agree with Gary often. I agree that I think he is trying to work something up that is going to continue to keep him on pace up there. And as he should. Just saying. But nonetheless. And of course, Joe Burrow has an ego. He's an egomaniac. This is a guy that loses a Super Bowl and an hour later is up on stage with Kid Cudi. Of course he has an ego. Anyways. Ron Howard, Watson MVP, bunch of laughing faces. Ron, man, what is wrong with you, Ron? You've spent years bashing Baker Mayfield, and now you're buying his jersey. Give me a break. He's a Bucs fan and not Ohio State. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Logan Wilson here. Did you know that every 3 hours in the U.S. a person or vehicle is hit by a train? Make good, safe decisions at all highway rail crossings. The safe choice is always the right choice. You are worth the wait. See tracks, think train.
Sometimes a choice has to be made. You can make a safe one. Always expect a train. Know that trains can run on any track at any time in either direction. Never try to beat a train. The safe choice is always the right choice.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Want to try the best in boneless chicken? Head to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded breast strips, 2 irresistible large sides, 5 fluffy biscuits, and 3 dipping sauces, it's the best in strips and a meal to match. Bring home dippable, craveable perfection for the whole family with a Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 10-piece strips meal at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $25 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $75 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/5. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
For over a decade, SimpliSafe has revolutionized home security, and our latest advancement is here, 24/7 LiveGuard protection, only from SimpliSafe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
What makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination? Because they offer free battery testing and charging and reliable replacement batteries. And they've always got your battery solution. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast says mostly clear skies and 61 tonight. It's sunny and 87 for the day tomorrow. Could see some rain on Thursday and a high of 84. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you have Ohio Medicaid, you need to act now. All Medicaid members are required to renew their health coverage. If you are no longer eligible, trained navigators can help for free. Call Get Covered Ohio at 833-628-4467 or visit getcoveredohio.org. This project is supported by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services as part of a financial assistance award totaling $2.33 million with 100% funding by CMS/HHS and do not necessarily represent the official views of the U.S. government. Sponsored by the Ohio Association of Food Banks, aired by OAB and the station.
When our hometown auto dealers are doing well, the positive benefits are felt throughout the entire area. In fact, last year alone, car dealers had an economic impact of over $225 billion statewide, and they created over 291,000 jobs in our local communities. A thriving auto dealer brings more customers to our shops, restaurants, and service industries. With new car and truck inventory now back on the lots, we're all driving in the right direction. Alpha Media Dayton salutes the many local car dealers across our great state. It's a great time to buy. So next time you drive past the local car dealer, drop in, take a look. They're not just selling cars, they're fueling our local Dayton economy.
Don't give in to that constant joint pain. Take control. Take back your quality of life today with help from QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Keith Byers. QC Kinetics is helping people every day, here and across the country. They're amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue. They use the latest advances in regenerative medicine, taking your own body's healing agents and concentrating them in the right area where you have that agonizing pain. This incredible, non-invasive approach helps you take back control of your body, relieving the pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. Listen, summertime needs to be about having fun and making memories. Golfing, hiking, enjoying the outdoors. Take control now and start living pain-free again. Call now for your free consultation with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
With more ways than ever to connect to news and entertainment, 90% of new car buyers want the tried and true AM/FM radio option. Gadgets are great, but when you're behind the wheel, you just want the local connection that can't be replicated. Local AM/FM radio is dependable and free, with no subscription or cellular data required. And as the backbone of the emergency alert system, we're here to keep you safe in dangerous times. Visit wearebroadcasters.com and tell us how you depend on AM.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Okay, next time you're at the store, I dare you to not think about the unmistakable fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring. Yeah, you heard me. I want you to resist picturing a shower filled with those sensational Irish Spring suds. And if you succeed, well, you got what my gramps used to call resolutitude. Not a real word, but let's be honest, you're probably going to end up leaving with Irish Spring because of its irresistible scent and because you have zero resolutitude. Pick up Irish Spring at Walmart today.
Shooing seagulls away from our beach snacks is easy, but keeping my frequent heartburn away, that was a full-time job. I had to chew up to 10 antacids a day to manage it. Then I tried Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day blocks my frequent heartburn for a full 24 hours, giving me one-and-done heartburn relief. Thanks to Prilosec OTC, now my heartburn's on vacation too.
Prilosec OTC. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Wendy's drive-thru is open until midnight or later for all your late-night cravings. So give in to what you want and order a Baconator even later. Hours may vary at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Fill your shower with the fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today.
Dayton sports fans, don't forget to follow and subscribe to ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Listen, watch, interact. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Let's see. One more refresh on the old Twitter machine. Anything? Reds, do something? Anything? Like, here's the deal. Nothing. Nothing. The Reds haven't done anything. So it is what it is at this point. Look, we are what? 26 minutes away from the deadline. Now, I will say this. When the show ends at 6, it's not as if there's no announcement made of a trade by 6. It doesn't mean that there won't be a trade announced later. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the way this works is as long as trade talks are heavily engaged before 6, they can continue into the night. I could be wrong. There has to be, like, I think it is like that, the intent to actually get a deal done, like closing out the deal, not just discussing it to see if they are interested. It will be interesting to see if there's going to be a late announcement as far as that's concerned, nonetheless. All right. Here's news. Yesterday, Keith Byers and I had a debate back and forth about the usage of the running backs in the NFL. And, of course, most notably right now, the most interesting one that's happening is Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, opting to sit out. He's demanded a trade from the Colts. And interestingly enough, on Twitter right now, the reports are circulating that the New England Patriots could be a potential landing place for disgruntled Indianapolis Colts star running back Jonathan Taylor. I think that Jonathan Taylor makes a lot of sense in New England. I think that so here's the deal. The thing is this. There is value for running backs in the NFL, but they have to go to a team that doesn't have an elite quarterback. It's that simple. Like yesterday when Keith was focusing on, if you are elite, you should be paid that way. Then why aren't we as passionate about why kickers aren't paid more? Why is it that this position, we watched the fullback position just disappear. No one said a thing. No one cried about it or screamed about it. And just to be clear, I am not accusing Keith Byers of crying or screaming about anything. I'm going to see him on the golf course later in the week. I don't need him to pummel me with his driver. I'm just saying. But we didn't, complain. We didn't, scream from the mountaintops about where did the fullback go? Why are we picking and choosing when we want to be emotional about the changes in usage of the game? Like, the bottom line is the run. Like, when people keep saying that the NFL is devaluing the run game, they're not devaluing the run game. The amount of talented running backs has devalued the run game. It's easier to get a running back that produces. And the bottom line is that, okay, if you want a Pacheco or do you want Derrick Henry? That's a weird trick question. Of course you want Derrick Henry, but from a team perspective, you want Pacheco. If Pacheco can just provide you with 60 to 70 yards a night, I think that that's important, right? Like, I think that that's important. It's a passing league. I know it's a balance. The run balances it, but the run is there to balance it. The run is not there to be the central part of the offense. You can't pay your quarterback $55 million a year and pay a running back $15 to $20 million a year. All right. Now, here's the thing. The one point I forgot to bring up yesterday is you could say, well, okay, you could, if he's elite, you pay elite. But the thing is, though, like, if I'm going to pay a quarterback elite money, you can't replicate what they do. Like the Justin Herberts, the Joe Burrows, the Jalen Hurts, the Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's tough to find those level quarterbacks. It's not tough to find the running backs. It may be tough to find a Derrick Henry, but you could still get, the run game could still produce without a Derrick Henry. The pass game cannot produce without an elite quarterback. You could still get good production from your run game without an elite running back. You cannot get good production from your quarterback without an elite quarterback, not Super Bowl level. Now, you could bring up Jimmy Garoppolo. You could bring up Flacco. We're talking about two quarterbacks in 10 years that were average enough to do it, right? Now, we could technically bring up the Nick Foles thing, but even Nick Foles, who isn't an elite quarterback, he performed at an elite level, throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and was a Super Bowl MVP, right? Like, but Nick Foles was never Nick Foles again after that. Nick Foles never looked like that. Hell, that's why the Jaguars, they thought they struck gold. That's why they paid him all that money because, man, if that's who he is, then and it didn't work out. So that's where I'm at with that. But I think that the New England Patriots make a ton of sense to go get star running back Jonathan Taylor. Mac Jones is average. And when it's time to pay Mac Jones is probably going to look at the other Jones, Daniel Jones, and say, I want $40 million. The Patriots are not a dumb franchise like the Giants. The Patriots are not going to give the Patriots are not going to give him $40 million like Daniel Jones from the Giants. It just won't happen. If the Patriots extend Mac Jones, who could play average enough football, they could afford to pay their star running back a lot of money. Because it's a balanced system at that point. If you pay $55 million to your quarterback, pay $5 million to your running back. That's why the Bengals, coincidentally enough, who are about to pay Joe Burrow $55 million a year, got Joe Mixon to agree to a pay cut to bring him down to that $5 million range. Because now you're paying $60 million a year for a quarterback and a running back, as opposed to $55 million a year for your quarterback and $20 million a year for your running back. Now we're talking $75 million in a run game that you can go get the same amount of production for significantly cheaper. I do like Jonathan Taylor in New England. I like Jonathan Taylor with the Colts. The Colts just drafted a rookie quarterback. Richardson's going to be your guy for the next 4 years. You don't have to pay him top dollar. You don't have to pay him top dollar for the next 4 years. There's no excuse as to why Jonathan Taylor should not be paid max dollar with the Colts. I think that matters. Teams with elite quarterbacks who are paid elite money, you don't need to go pay a running back. But teams who have quarterbacks like Mac Jones, rookie quarterbacks like Richardson with the Colts, those types, you pay your running back. Nick Chubb was paid what he was in Cleveland because he's elite, yes, but because they needed him because of average quarterback play. Derrick Henry gets paid what he does because they needed him because of average quarterback play. All right, there's a reason that the Chiefs have never once financially went to go look to overpay for a running back because we know it's the pass game that stirs this drink. Anyways, let's go to Jack. Jack, thanks for holding, sir. How are you?
Hey, fantastic, buddy. I love your show. I was the first one to think that the Reds were going to lose 100 games this year. Okay? But I'm going to tell you what. I don't know. Are you on Facebook, Justin?
Yes, sir. Just go to Facebook and type in the Justin Kenner Show on Facebook. You'll see it right there.
Okay. Is Hal McCoy one of your friends?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I love how we go way, way back, and I reshare his post, and he also thought that they were going to lose 100 games. Now, and then how many did you think David Bell should be fired? I mean, I questioned a lot of his managerial decisions. Did you think Bell should be fired?
I'm not a big David Bell fan, but I'm not anti-David Bell either. I don't mind the extension for David Bell, but if I was the Reds, I don't know why that deal or that extension had to be announced right now. Maybe just maybe, and I thought about this a little bit later, that Jody, that's just Jody. Come on. That's just sorry. I just read something and got distracted. But the thing is if the Reds, I don't know why they had to pay him and give him that extension here in July heading into August. Okay. That's the only complaint, because if the Reds tank the next 2 months, it's like, then, okay, you didn't need to extend David Bell, but maybe, just maybe, because of how cheap the Reds can be at times, maybe they said, hey, now's the time to give David Bell the extension, because if David Bell does lead us to the division title, if David Bell does lead us to the playoffs, if he does lead us to a potential World Series appearance or an NL championship, appearance, then they're going to have to pay him way more, because then other teams are going to pay him significantly more if he has that on his resume. So after having time to sit on it, maybe the timing did make sense, even though I still would have waited.
Well,
do you like David Bell?
I'm a lot older. Well, he's pushing all the right numbers. Look at yesterday's game. He used 5 different relievers, and that one guy came in and struck out 2, and then he jerked him. I mean, it's almost like he has a crystal. Have you ever seen those Crazy 8 crystal balls?
You mean a Magic 8 ball?
Have you ever? Yeah, the Magic 8 ball.
Yeah.
Well, it's just one of these things where this year is so special because all of our fruits have ripened in the minor leagues, and they are playing dynamite. They don't care, but I wish that Eladio Cruz could learn how to hit a low pitch.
Hey, right now, as long as he's hitting everything else for a rookie, if that's the one flaw he has, man, look, Ellie De La Cruz is, you're only as good as the sum of your parts. Ellie has been fantastic, and, Christian Encarnacion Strand and Steer and McLean and all these guys. But, man, I don't think we are appreciating what we're witnessing enough. This does not happen in baseball. We don't see rookies come in and make up 60% of your lineup in rotation, and all of a sudden you're in first place. I've never seen something like this in my lifetime. This is unbelievable what we're witnessing, and maybe David Bell does deserve more credit. What?
Well, how about Joey Votto? I wanted him to sit down when he was 1 for 21. The next night he hits 2 home runs. Okay, I was wanting to set him down when he was 5 for 40. He come back. I think he should be a bench coach, play DH, and because he's good for all those young dudes. You ever see how much?
Hold on, Jack. Why?
Talking,
if we're criticizing his ability to hit the ball, why would you make him a DH? That's the DH's only job, is to hit the ball, and he's the worst one at it.
Well, what I'm saying is I think his mobility a little bit around first base is not what it used to be.
No, that I agree with. But like I said, I'll take his deficiencies at first base as he gets older over his inability to hit the baseball consistently. Now, I get pushback on the page, Jack, because a lot of Votto lovers are like, so like last night he produces, and then my Facebook page will blow up, and then they'll be silent for the next 10 days when he goes 0 for 20. It's like, but I'll be fair to this individual that brings this up. If he is pacing to have a very good RBI total on the year and is pacing for a good home run total on the year, does his average matter? I think that's a fair question. I think average does matter, but at the same time, he has these inflated series where he'll just explode for a series and then disappear for 2 or 3 series. The inconsistency is just hard to stomach. But yeah.
Well, hey, it's been good talking to you, Justin, and we are going to be better up in Cleveland.
Oh, that I do know, Jack. That I do know. And you sound, I thought you were a Browns fan. I figured you were a Browns fan.
Well, I called you a lot last year, and like I said, it is what it is. We're going to be as good as Deshaun Watson. His quarterback clock last year sucked. he could have been a lot better if he'd have pulled the trigger and ran a little bit. You know what I mean?
And I think as he gets more comfortable, I think that's going to be the element of his game that expands. I think he's going to have a big breakout year in Cleveland, especially after that disaster last year. But, Jack, I got to get moving on. We're almost running out of time. I appreciate you calling, though. Go Browns.
Hey, thank you. God bless you.
Take care.
It's my 77th birthday today.
Oh, today's your birthday? You should go out and celebrate. You should celebrate tonight, though, right? Like, are you going out to celebrate?
No, I'm going to have fried bluegills and crappies at my son's house and fried mushrooms.
You know what? That sounds like a hell of a birthday dinner, man. Hey, happy birthday, Jack. I appreciate you, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jess. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's a hell of a birthday dinner. My goodness. Let's do one more. We got Ron. Ron, you know, you about to drop some wisdom on us here. What you got for us?
No, I just called. I'm talking about the Jonathan Taylor situation.
Oh, okay, fair. Oh, you're contributing. Nice.
Yes. I'm done with all the ditching already. So I did say ditching, not bitching. So, but what I'm saying is, from what I'm getting from the interview with Irsay, he's letting him flat out know, I'm not going to put money into that position, and giving him a clear message like, hey, after your year's done this year, we don't know if we'll resign you or not.
Yeah. Bottom line is Israel is, I agree with Israel's view of the running back position of not paying for that position. But when you could afford to, I'm fine with teams who pay their quarterback max dollars and then choose to financially prioritize their dollars elsewhere. I am not okay with teams like the Colts are the perfect example of a team that needs to overpay or pay market value for their running back because you have a rookie quarterback. Look, there's a reason that Joe Mixon taking a pay cut happened now, and it's because it's happening the summer of Joe Burrow about to be paid. Like, it's as simple as that. It's not, has nothing else to do, but they don't like Joe Mixon or appreciate him, blah, blah, blah. They've overlooked all of his off the field issues. They don't care about that stuff as much as Bengals fans pretend to walk on water and all this. They've overlooked his off the field issues while they judge every other team in football. They didn't, have him take a pay cut because of anything other than they're about to pay their quarterback and their receivers. So it's as simple as that.
And, and like with the running back position, what's the franchise tag going for? Got $11 million for it, so that's kind of giving you the market. I mean, they're not gonna pay much more than that, and plus running backs are wanting the longer. Like Zeke got that longer deal, and it's just not panned out. So, just the luck of cards, I don't know.
I don't know where else Jonathan Taylor can go. I mean, obviously Dalvin Cook makes sense in Miami. I don't know what, who knows what happens there, but it's like, I think Jonathan Taylor he could go there. But I think Jonathan Taylor makes sense in New England. But Israel's kind of a head case. And Ron, thank you for the call. He's kind of a head case. So it's like, I don't see him trading to a rival like that, even though I don't know if they're a rival anymore. But who knows? Israel's a head case. Everyone loves to beat up on Jerry Jones because people hate the Cowboys, but I think Israel's he's a problem. Now they got rid of Snyder. I think the next guy that they need to find a way to get rid of is Israel. I think the guy's just a loose cannon. I mean, unbelievable. All right, good stuff. Kinner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. Reds back in action tonight, game 2. The Reds, they look the same today as they did yesterday. The Reds, unless something changes in the next 10 minutes as we close out the show, I don't think they pulled the trigger. I've been convincing myself all week that this was a possibility, and yet I'm still angry. I don't get it. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Protect your engine with Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec is designed for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic in a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $33.99, plus 2 times O-Rewards points. Limits apply. Choose Syntec exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Don't miss the final days of end-of-season deals during the truckload event at Lowe's. Right now, save on major appliances and get an additional 10% off in-store clearance appliances. Plus, you can get up to 35% off select tools and accessories. Find big savings during the final days of the truckload event happening now. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valve through 8-2. Exclusions apply while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com. You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. Introducing 24/7 LifeGuard protection, only from Simply Safe Home Security. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
You can host the best backyard barbecue when you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
When you have trouble sleeping, it's tough. When kids have trouble sleeping, Mom, I can't sleep. Dad, just one more story? for nights like this, try Vicks Pure Z's Kids. Our great tasting gummies are specially formulated for kids with a unique blend of botanicals and a low dose of melatonin to support their natural sleep cycle. Best of all, they're drug-free and non-habit forming. Help your child fall asleep naturally with Pure Z's Kids Gummies. Consult with a doctor before use. For ages 4 and up.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Fill your shower with the fresh, clean scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds. Irish Spring. When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today.
Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff in store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson